everyone, welcome back to Dames and Dorks. I'm Nomi. I'm happy that y'all are here hanging out with us. And today, our special guest, we got NDAndrew. How are you today?
Hey, it's good to be here. I'm doing very, very well. It's great to be on the show. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, good. We're glad to have you. We're glad that when I saw your name pop up, it's like, oh my gosh, I kind of met you in Denver, but like
just a little bit,
like in passing.
Kind of.
But yes, no, I'm happy that you're hanging out with us today. But we got our regular panelists here. We got Lily 300 Mirrors. How are you doing today?
I am doing great. I mean, I started watching episode 1 of season 2 of The Rings of Power, so I don't know. I'm a little
shook.
My day just kind of took a little nosedive. But other than that, I'm good. I'm excited to get into all these topics.
Yeah. Speaking of which, I know you caught a little fire with the Twitter people and then being posted on delusional takes and everything and everyone coming after you. I was like, there's Lily.
I really didn't have anybody come after me. It was just posted on the delusional takes. And then I believe that screenshot was actually retweeted by It's a Gundam.
Yes, I did see that.
So when I saw that, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm like, that's me. And then, I think I did actually reply to him. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's me. Not the person saying the stupid thing.
Yeah, you were like, not the lunatic.
Yeah, I'm like, not the crazy person.
I'm the same person.
I honestly... I don't really pay attention to that kind of stuff anymore because so many people come in and say things. There was just this one guy who would not stop following.
It's always the guys.
My replies. Like it got to the point where it wasn't even related to the acolyte, and he continued to just like say really stupid things under all my comments. I was like, oh my gosh! Until finally, I just blocked him. I've learned to not block them and just ignore, but this guy was so annoying.
He was gross too.
Yeah,
he was.
He was gross.
He was
He's
not
your best friend on Twitter, that's for sure.
He was not the coolest cat on
and
Twitter.
And then Smu coming in to like help out.
Great to see that, and I laughed.
It has to be done.
Had a little bit of chivalry into the online space.
Yeah,
Smu, our hero. And then continuing on to introduce our panelists, we got our permanent temporary guest here, DreamingTabitha.
What's up, YouTube? Coming at you live this wonderful Thursday evening as the permanent guest on Dames and Dorks. I'm doing fabulous. I'm glad to be here.
Good. I'm happy that you're here too. Like we're turned out for you to be a guest. It's like, oh, I guess you can still keep coming back. I have no problem with that at all.
So Lily messages me like, was it either earlier in the week or last week, and saying, by the way, your face is going to be on the thumbnails like from now on. We've kind of like tricking you into come on regularly, and then Nomi texted me like 2 hours ago, and she was like, hey, are you on the show tonight? I was like, I didn't know that I was. She's like, do you want to be on the show tonight? And I'm like, I guess I can. So here I am. I'm giving the fans what they want.
It did. The evil plan did work.
But it was a good plan after all.
Give the people what they want, you know.
And someone else that we tricked as well.
Yeah.
Sevvy.
I know, and then I was actually going to segue into that because we also got our other resident panelist here, and that's Sevvy.
I see a pattern here.
Yeah.
Yes, you do.
You see a pattern.
Oops.
Well, it's okay. I love you guys. I hope you are having a great day. We had like tornado warnings for like a while now, and it was like. Yeah, it was kind of crazy. So I sent a message to Nomi, and I was like, I don't know if I'm going to live past tonight. So,
yeah, I was like, is it a warning or is it a watch? She's like, it's a warning. He's like, oh, you're okay.
I was freaking out, and Nomi was like, no, you're fine. You're fine.
You're right.
Be on the lookout for Glenn Powell out there. Tornado.
Are we already starting this? Where are we doing
I saw the face, Andrew. I saw the face.
Where's my tally?
Yes.
There you go.
Glenn Powell is going to be much talked about tonight.
God, that's my cue to leave.
No, it's not. It's your cue to stay here for a good time.
Okay.
We've got our other panelist here who is kind of our honorary dork. We got Smu the DJ.
Hi.
Woo,
I got my drink. I'm ready to go.
Oh yes, but
Cheers.
I forgot to tell you, Tabitha. I know you are a non-fun drink person. Look at you.
I got
drinking-
alcoholic and
drinking.
non-alcoholic, so
I have water
I'm well
and
prepared.
coffee.
I'm
Coffee, I
Water?
approve of.
That's all
Coffee's
she
good.
needs.
Yep.
I
You don't
have
approve of water, Andrew?
I have water.
I mean, I guess I probably should, but I don't drink it off of enough to be able to speak about it firsthand.
Oh, okay.
Mm.
I'm one of the worst people in the world when it comes to hydrating. Second only to like probably children in Africa dying of dehydration.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I mean,
But
it's their
only
own
just
fault.
Barely
That's fair.
second. Only
Yeah.
just barely. Like they just edged me out, and it's only because there's a ton of them.
I got that.
Yeah.
Tonight, yeah, so that's right, stream. We are going to be drinking on this panel because Rings of Power is not doing so hot. But yes, before we go into our topics and everything, we're going to go ahead and acknowledge the chat. I want to know who this person is. But yes, I think we all know who this person is.
Mhm. I've seen him around.
This is my first time seeing him. I wonder if he's cool or not. We
I-
got
He's probably a schmuck.
okay.
I like the
He
persona,
looks like a schmuck. I mean, look at that
I
face.
like the-
That's the face of a schmuck.
I like the
Pretty
Persona
sure
5
I
inspiration you got in your
participated in a
avatar, by the
poll.
way.
But he says we're gonna have a good time, and I'm here for it. We also got Phil TMNT. Nice to see you, Phil.
Yeah.
Retro Collective, Tracy
Hello.
Reeves, and we got Beacon here, and Manjo, and we got Gravy as well. I'm so happy that you guys are here hanging out with us. Like we said earlier today, this is gonna be a fun show that we're going to be talking about. I know our first topic today was going to be the Ryan Gosling and Glenn Powell debacle because Lily here did some scientific research and did some polls, and she got some results. And she is here to bring you the news. Lily, please take it away.
I got news for you.
So I actually saw this tweet that said that a unnamed producer had said that Glenn Powell appealed to both men and women, whereas someone like Ryan Gosling only appealed to women. So I took it upon myself and I said, you know what? Let's see what Twitter has to say about this. So I put up two separate polls, polling the guys and polling the girls. And the findings were very, very interesting. So I don't know if you want to pull up the tweet.
I'm bringing it up. I got lost in the Glenn Powell tweets. So here we are, kids.
So
Wow.
in both polls, everything was pretty close. So with the women, Ryan Gosling came out 57.1%, Glenn Powell 42.9%. With the guys, Ryan came out at 57.4% and Glenn at 42.6%. So I don't know about that unnamed producer. And there were some pretty significant amount of votes too, because I think the ladies, for some reason, the women did not vote as much as the guys, but the guys were really passionate about it. I only had 77 votes from the girls, and then the guys, if you could scroll up a little bit, I think it was like over 300 and something votes.
What if it was a woman
Almost
voting with her
400.
boyfriend's phone?
387 votes. And the guys in the comments were like so passionate about it. They were like, well, Ryan's movies are better because this and that. Like, no, Glenn is up and coming and he's cooler. And like, I was super surprised. And then the ladies actually had nothing to say in the comments, which surprised me.
Really?
I
The
did.
ladies had nothing to say.
I
There
had,
we go. So we can see a little better.
Nothing to
I had
say.
questions. That was my before I voted. I had questions, and I'm wondering if that's one reason why more women didn't vote, because it was like, all right, appeals. Do you mean like
Gosh.
as an actor, as a dude, attractiveness level? Like, I got questions.
Well,
before I
now
cast-
I'm concerned because I thought there was only one poll. I didn't realize there was a woman and man poll. So now I'm wondering which one did I vote on?
I'd laugh if you voted
it
for the
literally
men
opens
one.
up with gender for each one, and Sevvy's like, I don't know which one I did.
Well, I think like I voted while I was doing something else, so I didn't read it. I just saw the poll.
Oh, Paul, quick.
Yeah, people can't resist a poll. It's like,
true.
ooh,
It's
opinion.
true.
Well, I voted for the first one, which would be like men. Oh no.
No, you
women,
voted
like,
on the right one. You saw it.
Yes,
yeah, you
I
saw
did.
the right one. Yeah.
And then my Glenn lost. But it's
I
okay.
just thought it was interesting. And yeah, the ladies didn't really say anything. I just had a couple of them. I think Sherry came in and she was like, none. And I was like, okay. Like, that's fair.
I wanted to, that was my thing. I was like, I don't want to be like a jerk and be like, none, because like, well, I saw you were doing this for research purposes, and I was like, probably for the work. So I don't want to be that person to be like,
this is clearly adhering to the scientific method here.
I mean, I did put my 2 cents worth in after I asked my questions, and I was like, I got questions, this, that, and the third. I was like, because at the end of the day, I'm voting for Sean Bean. So.
Yeah, because I wanted to word it a little bit differently because I got so many questions about people asking, what do you mean by appeal? Like, do I find them physically attractive, or what do you mean? But because that's the word that the producer used, appeal, that's what I wanted to use in this as well. But
you're saying true to the source material.
I wanted to make sure that I used kind of the same wording, and it was pretty close. And what I saw from a lot of the guys that answered is that Ryan just has way more movies right now, and he's had a more successful career, and Glenn's just kind of up and coming. I don't think too many people have seen his movies yet. Yeah. And if you think about it, the only really successful ones he's had are Twisters and Anyone But You. But I'm pretty sure a lot of guys didn't see that, and Top Gun, which he was not actually a star of. Like, he was kind of a side character.
He was a co-star.
Yeah. Whereas Ryan Gosling has already been the star of several movies, and he's already been Oscar nominated. He's been in the Golden Globe.
I don't know if that's really a fair comparison from the producer, though, where it's like you said, is Glenn Powell. I mean, he's got his career going, right? It's like he's still kind of fresh. Ryan Gosling's been around for like what, 50 years? So you've got
more like 200 years. I hear.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, like that's like comparing Austin Butler to Harrison Ford. It's like you can't do that. Harrison Ford already has a 1,000,000-year track record of success. Austin Butler's subpar at best and just getting started. So. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding, Billy. No, but I mean, like,
sorry.
He's got his his train on the tracks. Like, he's got momentum, but technically, in comparison, he's starting out. Like, as far for me, when I look at actors, it's like you've got your literal starting out phase where everybody goes through that, where you're on some TV shows, you do some commercials, you were seen in a movie, but then you have the actual beginning of your career where you're finding success. That's kind of how I'm looking at it with like Austin Butler and Glenn Powell. It's like they're on course. They're doing well. So to compare them to actors who already have a humongous following and significant roles, I think that's kind of unfair to, unless you were comparing Ryan Gosling his beginnings in the same time frame, like when he was, Glenn Powell's like beginnings. Yeah.
I mean, even then, Ryan Gosling would beat him out because he was already on the Mickey Mouse Club since he was a kid. I know Glenn was in one of the Spy Kids movies, but Ryan was already on the Mickey Mouse Club. He was already making movies as a teenager that were already like pretty successful. So
plus he can date, so
he was also Hercules in a miniseries or a series. Yeah.
So that's kind of unfair. So I don't know if this producer's point to do this. Honestly, the way that it seemed to me is that this never happened, and somebody just wanted to put out drama so that Glenn Powell could be compared to Ryan Gosling, and people can be like, "Oh my gosh, he's being compared to one of the greatest male actors out there, so he must be good too." Because it's just so weird to me.
I was today years old when I realized that Glenn Powell was in one of the Spy Kids films.
Really?
Me too. I had no idea.
You said that. I had to Google. I was like, what? And I was like, oh my gosh, yep.
To be fair, I've never seen Spy Kids.
So. His face has not changed.
No, he looks the same.
He's also in the Christian Bale Batman movies. He's a banker. Or no, he's like a broker.
Really?
He's like a background.
Yeah.
See, the thing with Glenn Powell is he's got a recognizable face, but most people don't know the name of him. I think that's his problem.
Yeah,
I mean-
that's
Because
probably pretty fair.
People are like, oh, it's the bloke from Top Gun, or like, oh, it's the bloke from that movie, or like, oh, he's the guy from Twisters. They don't necessarily know the name, but the face. I think
Oh,
that's the bigger issue.
You can tell the difference between the faces.
Yeah, you know, one
Well, you
looks
can.
like, you know, a Barbie doll, and the other one looks like a weasel.
Okay.
Oh,
I'll let you guys decide which one is which.
That was a trick question.
so mean.
That is a trick question.
But I like. I don't know. Glenn Powell has a more definite jawline. Ryan's is more oval
I mean,
looking.
I wouldn't really. I like them
Glenn
both.
Powell
I mean-
objectively has a more masculine jawline,
Yes.
Yeah, that's true.
He does.
Yes.
whereas Ryan Gosling has mine. So
No.
less so.
There
So
you
a
go.
weasel face. No, just kidding. Just kidding.
There it is.
Oh,
There it is.
Just kidding.
Way to insult the guest, Nomi.
Wow.
Hey, Nomi.
I didn't say
Can't
that.
insult the guests.
I'm just
That's
doing the
okay.
jokes here. I'm sorry, guys. It could
my
be
gosh.
it could be the Moscow Mule, guys.
I
Sorry.
set myself up for it. It's fine.
But
No, because Glenn Powell looks like a capybara. Sorry.
he does.
He
But I'm
does.
okay with
Yeah.
that. But I'm okay with that.
He does look a little like a capybara. See, a type of vermin, but I mean that in the good way. I love
His-
vermin.
His job is tornado. So
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And when I say
Girls are
that,
so mean.
we are.
Yep.
We tell
Yeah.
the truth.
You
That's
know.
the thing about us girls.
Now the thing is, just because I call him a weasel face doesn't necessarily mean that I find him unattractive. It's more of like,
oh
when
my
I
gosh,
say-
Rudai. That's why he's
When
not
you're
We've been nice to you last time. Every day.
It's true. When I say a weasel face, what I mean that's actually my mom's terminology for somebody who basically kind of like Jason Isaacs. You know that they're pretty much always the bad guy or
Mhm.
the
Type
you know,
it's like type
Okay,
Yeah.
just because he played Lucius Malfoy, like, come on.
Jason Isaacs is like always kind of
Yeah.
a
He
douche,
was a
and
bad
I'm
guy.
okay with
Listen.
that because I love Jason Isaacs. Okay?
He was also the bad guy in The Patriot too.
Exactly.
was.
So there are a lot of these actors, and I think that's a good thing. It's like the guy, I forget what his name is, the guy who played as Grima Wormtongue, and he was also the weirdo in
Oh,
Chekhov,
yeah.
right?
Brad
He
Dourif,
has this face where you really don't get the jobs for the good guy.
Right over, yeah.
Right. Now, I'm not saying Glenn Powell is as unattractive as Wormtongue, but what I'm saying is like they have these features that allow them to be more distinct for certain roles, and I'm okay with that. Like he kind of I had a friend that actually kind of looked like him, where he's a little bit cocky, confident, but attractive. Perfect for a possible likable, dislikable person.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
well, that's kind
Which
of
is what he played in Top Gun.
that's what he plays.
Exactly, a weasel. So
And he
there
was
you go.
the same way in Twisters too.
Big
Like,
see, I haven't even seen Twisters, and I just saw the
and he was
commercial.
the same
online.
way in Anyone But You too.
Yeah.
So he's already being typecast. is what you're saying.
Yeah, and that works for a
Pretty
lot
much.
of people. Sean
Sure.
Bean always dead. I mean,
Yeah.
you know.
You get to be
Except
typecast
for
as
Silent
whatever's
Hill.
in the casket.
Except for Silent Hill, Tabitha.
Well,
He didn't
and
die in Silent
for
Hill.
Jupiter Ascending, thank God that man made it out alive. but
Yeah.
give a man a break, you know.
You
Let
can't
him
see his
live.
name in the credits because you already know he's going
More than
out.
3 people watched that movie.
Excuse you.
Oh, that's a cool
Um,
movie. I like it.
Aw.
Wait, which movie are we talking about?
Jupiter Ascending.
Jupiter
I love that
Ascending.
movie.
That was
That's
a good
fine.
movie.
I like movies that nobody else watches.
Well,
I do.
I think there's only then if 3 people, then it would be Lily, Tabitha, and me were the only 3 people who watched it.
Yeah, yeah.
That was it.
And
The
I'm
entire
okay with
audience is
that.
right
We're
here.
gonna start our own fan club. It's okay.
We're okay with that. The Jupiter Ascending fan.
I'm working on the stickers, even the t-shirts, even now. So. And no, I didn't
God
like
bless.
it because it was Channing Tatum. Ugh.
So
Dang.
I just
Oh
want
my
to throw that
God.
out there because automatically people will be like, "Well, yeah, because it's got Channing Tatum." No,
He was
Yeah.
kind
It's
of weird in
been
that movie.
so
though.
long since I watched it. I don't know who is in
I'm not
it.
saying that he's not a handsome
isn't
or
it
attractive.
Mila Kunis in it?
Yeah, it's Mila
Yeah.
Kunis and
Yeah.
Channing Tatum.
but
Okay.
I
The
didn't
weirdest-
watch it
Good
because
movie.
the Chan Man was in it. Like, Grant me some respect.
I know when that movie was on, it was like on TNT, like a kind of dead, like whitewashed, not dead white noise movie. You just play in the background while you're washing dishes. I think I was washing dishes, and then I was like, "This is dumb." I actually
half of me is offended right now.
I know. I was like, what?
The half you can see, to be clear about
white noise. I corrected myself. I said white noise. I'm sorry.
Nomi, that's 2 insults for the guest.
I'm so sorry.
So marking down insults.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Keeping track of the tally still.
Man, oh my
Keeping track
god.
of the tally still.
I corrected myself, but I'm sorry.
The Wachowski brothers did Jupiter
Sisters.
Ascending. Of course, it was going to be
Sisters.
weird.
Tabitha, it's sisters now.
No, they're not. Look, Jesus made them
No,
brothers, and that's okay.
We just
Well,
call them
it's
the
just-
Wachowskis. That's it.
I think that's at this point we need like Nomi puts $5 in a jar every time she insults the guest.
The insult the guest jar.
I could put the $5 in right now. I got
Or has to
change.
take a drink. One of the two. Pick one.
Yeah,
I
but
could finish the drink.
if she takes the drink, she'll be too
Oh,
happy.
she's just gonna
to
chug
keep
the
doing
thing
it.
for it. Yeah, you don't have to do that. Jeez.
Nah, don't encourage her, chat.
Did you
Well,
see all the hate that Channing Tatum got over like the fact that people want him to be in the Gambit movie? Like it was blowing up on Twitter. I don't know if I was the only one who saw it, but there were people that were like, "No, he's the worst Gambit ever." And then like this whole fight started, and I was just watching it on Twitter and just laughing my ass off. I was like, "Why?"
To be fair, I was always indifferent towards Channing Tatum.
Yeah,
never
like I
understood
didn't
the appeal.
care.
I have nothing personal against the guy. I think he's a serviceable actor. He was a very good-looking dude.
Yeah.
He's packed on a few pounds in recent years.
Mm-hmm.
And like the way that they did Gambit's costume. I actually still haven't seen the movie, to be clear. So I'm just speaking from seeing the trailers. I have not had the free time to go see anything. I need to see that. I need to see Alien Romulus. I need to see Twisters still, but that's no longer in theaters, I don't think. No,
Twisters is
plan
on
seeing it.
Amazon Prime.
Okay,
Yeah.
good to know. Good to know.
What? Is it?
But like whatever the costume designer did made his face look way fatter than it already is.
Yeah.
Dude, that's
like,
a horrible
Those are
job, and they
Kansas
didn't do his
cheeks,
hair
right?
right.
Yeah.
Gambit should not have like almost a military freaking crop haircut. And it was just they did not do a good job with that.
It was like this teen heartthrob swoosh, you know.
It was just, that's not Gambit's hair. Gambit's hair should be longer. It should be more wild. And I'm a big comic book guy. I don't know if you guys are aware of that since I work for a freaking comic book company.
I kind of picked up on that. Yeah.
And I really dig Gambit a lot. I love his design. His powers are super cool. He's always been incredibly charming and sassy and snappy and all of these great fun qualities that make a comic book character fun and entertaining. And no clip that I have seen of Channing Tatum as Gambit speaks to that. Now, maybe if I see the whole movie and see the whole thing in its entirety, maybe I'll have a different opinion. But just based on the clips that I've seen, I'm like, that ain't it, bro.
No, I think the only clips I have kind of seen is about his accent and how he did the accent for Gambit, and that was the like I wasn't digging the accent.
I also saw these comparisons between Taylor Kitsch and him when they were playing the character.
I like Taylor
that was also
Kitsch better.
I like Taylor Kitsch better too. Yeah.
He probably could have, with a good script, played a better Gambit.
Yeah.
Well, I know I should have saved that tweet, but Jonas Campbell over at Midnight's Edge, I know he did something a little bit like who would be the best Gambit, and he did say, I'm sorry guys, we're gonna go back to Glenn Powell.
Oh, no.
But he did say that Glenn Powell would be a better fit for Gambit, and I kind of, not because I'm just a
fan girl.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't want to interrupt, and I love Jonas. I love hanging out with him over on the Pro Show. But he's wrong and gay. So
no, he's not. You're
so
just a
Glenn
hater.
Powell. No, Glenn Powell is reserved for being a proper Barry Allen. If I ever get the opportunity to have a good Flash film,
I
so
agree.
sorry,
I agree.
y'all Gambit fans can't have him.
Okay.
He's like, just sit down.
Yeah.
Oh.
that was my I'm gonna let you finish moment. So
Well, you took the mic away from me, but I'm
What
gonna.
kind of effeminate picture is that? What man puts his hair up in a towel like that?
He has to protect his hair. He's a capybara, by the way, so he needs to look good.
Oh my gosh.
But yes,
being gay.
oh my gosh, stop, Tabitha.
This was Glenn's reaction to that producer. So, hey Joe.
Yeah, hello, Joe.
I'm glad that Glenn recognized that the producer was stupid, and he replied and he said, "Gosling is a legend. I'm just Glenn." So if you guys recognize that, that was like the time.
I'm just Ken. Yeah, I get it. I get it.
See, this is
So
how
now
Hollywood should respond.
Now I need a collab with both of them to remake the song.
Ooh,
be in a movie together.
I would download that song in a heartbeat.
And can Glenn Powell sing? That could honestly be a fun thing.
Yeah.
Ooh, in what way?
It's a good question.
Country.
Yeah, like put a spin on it. Yeah, put a spin on it. Doesn't have to be a carbon copy of the I'm Just Ken song from the Barbie film.
He should do like a country version of it. That would be.
Or do like a classic rock version, but maybe that's just because I'm old. That's fine.
We all are in our own way, aren't we?
Yeah, I think we all are.
There's a little bit of old soul in
Thank
all
you
of
for
us.
making me feel better. I do appreciate that.
We're
that
all
almost
old.
makes up for Nomi's 2 insults.
There you go. It's
Okay.
now down to
Oh my
1.5.
Yeah,
Well,
we got it down to 1.5 now.
I will make it better. I will smooth out the damages that I've done. I'm so sorry.
She's too powerful.
No.
I mean, once you get a Moscow Mule in my hand, I'm sorry. I just tell the truth. Like I'm an honest person, but when there's a Moscow Mule in my hand, I'm just as honest. Double, if anything.
Double the honesty.
Double the Nomi.
Double the. That's right. Double the
Double
Nomi.
the Nomi.
Mm-hmm. But obviously, Andrew, you've been following up with the current Rings of Power, correct?
Clarification. I did not finish the first season. I couldn't get past the first 2 episodes. I watched those and I was like, yeah, I've got too much self-respect and I'm too big of a fan of Tolkien's Legendarium to push myself through this, so not doing it. I wasn't going to be watching season 2 either. A friend of mine in my Discord server sent me the clip that I watched this afternoon, and
which clip?
Oh my gosh. It was apparently we have symbiote Sauron in Lord of the Rings now. So that's a thing.
What is it?
It was weird. It was the very first opening scene.
Yeah, he turns into basically a symbiote from Spider-Man, and that's really dumb and not a thing.
It's crazy. He looks like one of those dreadlock dogs, you know?
No.
Don't go insulting dogs.
Yeah.
He literally turns into Venom. It's literally like a.
That's what I'm saying. You seen those dogs? There's hair naturally turns into dreadlocks.
I know which ones you're talking about. See, I always looked at those like that's a Tangela from Pokemon. I know what that is.
It's
just all black.
Yeah, I did think of the Venom, and then I was just like, "This is weird.
Why would they do that?"
I have no idea.
They haven't cared about the source material since the first season. Like this honestly.
What a silly question, Sevvy.
At this point, anybody who's watching this show is doing it for the same reason anybody watches a car wreck or a train wreck. And they're like, I know it's kind of bad, but I want to see what happens. Like, who gets mangled worse, right? Like, that's kind of what we're here for. Or what some of us are here for, because I'm not watching it. I can't do that. You know the quote from Pippin in Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring? You'll need people of intelligence on this sort of quest. They don't have any of those attached to this show.
They had a tempest
Not
in them.
one.
Bro. They had a tempest in them.
That's right.
Like
Really?
0.
No,
I started it and I actually saw that clip, and it's funny because my little nephew who's 10 walked in when that little goop was like going across and he's like, "Are you watching Venom?"
Oh, like, wow.
We are Venom.
And then
no, honey, that's a far better movie.
Yeah, for a while,
and it's only mid.
Yeah, he's like, "What is this?" And I'm like, it's a really bad show that no one should be watching. And he's like, why are you watching
Why
it
are
then?
you watching it? Yeah, that's going to be the next
He's
question.
got a fair point.
I'm like, I have a job to do on Twitter, okay?
My job requires me to get a monthly retinoblastoma check, is what it requires.
What I felt like when I Hulk.
I
Yeah.
will say that I found the opening for season 2 more enthralling than season 1, but it was still for me, it's like, okay, this is kind of interesting. And then all of a sudden I remember, because they'll throw out the words that we all are accustomed to, Sauron and Elrond and all these kinds of things. You're like, oh, that's right. This is Lord of the Rings. This sucks.
That's the thing, like on its
You know?
own, you want to brand it as something entirely on its own. Okay, you can then detach yourself as not trying to compare it to something that's established, right? But then you look at it in the context and through the lens of like, this is supposed to be part of this historic sweeping epic that J.R.R. Tolkien started so many decades ago. And you're like, so suddenly the standard of quality went from here to subterranean. Got it. Not interested.
Yeah. It's like it reminds me, like I said that with the first season, it's like its own fantasy thing. Like again, if you would just take out the character names and the semi lore that's there, it would just be maybe a fun generic fantasy show, except for the Galadriel's still the most annoying character there. But when you start remembering that this was supposed to be important, that this was supposed to be memorable, this was supposed to be just as good as Lord of the Rings, you're like, this sucks.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm not even sure that if it didn't have the name attached to it, that it would still be good. Like, I think people would still be like making fun of it, but not to the degree that we are now, because it does have the name slapped onto it. But yeah, if you would watch it without like, you don't know anything about it and you watch it, you'd still be like, oh, this is kind of weird. Like, I don't know if
It may as well be its own thing anyway, because you know, names be damned. Like it's not Lord of the Rings. It's not Tolkien's world. They're ignoring anything that has to do with his lore. They're taking it and they're turning it on its head. They're ripping out the guts and they're leaving this soulless, empty husk of what a incredible creative genius put together over the course of decades. And that's an insult. I'm glad. I'll say this. I'm glad, as somebody who's a geek and a fan of like a very wide swath of things. I'm a comic book guy. Love Harry Potter. I love Lord of the Rings. I read The Hobbit when I was like 7 years old, and then the trilogy immediately afterwards. I love Star Wars and all these things. Lord of the Rings fans, on the whole, are far less tolerant of seeing the thing that they love be ripped apart. Because they're, and I want to be careful with how I word this. Add no script. Lord of the Rings fans are a higher class of individual in a lot of cases than a general normie, for sure. Because you look at a lot of the things that people were okay with letting slide when it came to Star Wars, when it came to Marvel and DC and all these other things. Like, that was not the case when the first trailers for Rings of Power dropped. Lord of the Rings fans were pretty universally like, what the hell is this? Like, what are you doing here? Like, this is not Lord of the Rings.
Well, our detective Lily here did more of what you were just saying. She did an investigation, and this is what they're doing. They're not even pushing it for Tolkien fans. They're just doing it for people who like to do shipping and, you know, just do it for the little lore that they want to create.
CW Tripe.
I got really curious because I saw that everybody was making fun of this quote, and I was like, I wonder if these are actual accounts. So I did go look at, I think, 2 of them that did come out in that little teaser that they gave us, and these accounts are just like shipper accounts. And then look at what's in the middle there, Osha and Kamir. So these people are also shippers for the Acolyte. And you can't tell me that this got the attention of the Rings of Power team over at Amazon because they have millions and millions of followers. This person has over 2,294. The other one doesn't even have 1K followers. So tell me how they ended up on a teaser for an official thing for Amazon. Like, really? So I kind of got to thinking, and I replied to someone else, and I was like, are these fake accounts that their own people made that they've been pushing stuff out.
That would be horrible.
The hype for this thing is AstroTurf to all sin.
Because it's
like,
so
I don't believe it's
dumb.
organic.
I've never heard a phrase like that before. Can you say that again?
I said the hype for this is AstroTurf does all sin. It's just it's completely inorganic. Like there's nothing about this, and you can. It's the same thing like with the Acolyte, right? It had all this praise in the media, but then you can look at the numbers. The thing fell off the Nielsen ratings by week 3. You're like, what are you talking about? Nobody's watching this.
Yeah.
This is artificial hype. It's bot accounts, and it's people making a bunch of alts that are like cancerous shippers online from Reddit and Tumblr. And I'm sorry, shippers are fandom cancer. I don't care what fandom it is.
Yep.
Well, they're just kind of degrading the class of Galadriel. Like we talked about,
which is an insult to me because I love Galadriel.
Exactly. She's an astounding character that Cate Blanchett, I think, just did absolute justice to. And that was the thing too that I noticed. So I saw this a while ago. I like behind the scenes footage of anything pretty much, and this was for The Hobbit. And I do love me some Lee Pace as Grunduil, right? And so it was fascinating watching the behind the scenes. I never thought about this. They had a specific choreographer to teach them how to walk and how to sit as these characters. And when I'm watching Rings of Power, specifically the elves, because they're very distinct from any of the other races, they just act like regular humans. There is no grace to what they are doing. And I'm like,
you'll see more physical effort put into that kind of a thing. Like just like you're talking about the way they carry themselves, the way they walk, the way they sit, the way they speak and gesture with their hands.
Yeah.
You'll see more effort regarding that at a freaking Ren Fair.
Yes.
Or even in like fan movies or something like that. Like if you look at like fan films or fan like mini movies or something like that, you see a lot more effort put into these projects these days than the actual productions themselves. I mean, if you really think about it, how expensive Rings of Power is, you don't see much of that in the production value itself.
Yeah.
You see the show. I mean, parts of it may look visually stunning. I'll give them that, but you still ask yourself, like in the back of your head, like, where did all this money go? Like
that was the same thing with Acolyte, right? $180 million. Where did it go?
It's because I mean, honestly, there's no reason to even think about why they're not doing these things. They just simply don't care. They really don't. Like with just look at the cast. I don't think any of these people who fit who they're supposed to be playing. But when you go back and look at the films with that casting, you can absolutely see that they took into account like their features, their build, and everything to say, you know what, these are the hobbits. This is what the hobbits are going to look like. These are the elves. They have a specific kind of look to them. They're people that are not necessarily have to be like super beautiful, but there's somebody that you look at that you say, that person doesn't exactly look human, and that makes them beautiful.
Mesmerizing.
Mesmerizing.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
They took into account all of these things, whereas in this, I don't get elf from any of these elves at all. I don't get
they're trying too hard to be elves.
Yeah, and then the hobbits, if they didn't have like their camera tricks that fail half of the time, you wouldn't look at them and say, oh, these are hobbits. They look like regular sized people.
They do.
It doesn't match none of it. So they don't care.
For comparison, you know Graham McTavish, the actor who's also in House of the Dragon. He's playing one of Rhaenyra's guards, I think, and he's also played one of the dwarves in The Hobbit. And he's a tall man, and they had to like scale him down a lot and work with a lot of camera tricks to make him look small, because he's like 6 foot or something, and he was way too tall to be a dwarf.
I mean, this show relies too much on CGI, and so they have lost the magic of the filmmaking. I think that's one of the many things that is missing from this show, is that like, there are some of the stylization and whatever it's really pretty, but it's all fake. Well, you can make fake things look pretty, okay, but when your cast looks weird, and like you notice that the elves look more human than the humans. Like, they've got, they just look like rich humans with pointy ears that are way too big, by the way. I cannot stand their ears. They're just horrible. But the lines in their faces are really deep. Now, Hugo Weaving has himself a high forehead of wrinkles, but somehow
he does, yeah.
Somehow.
He's got an 8 head, not a 4 head. Let's be clear here.
They put some plaster of Paris in there, some silicone. I don't know, but they made it, they softened it. I don't know, put a Instagram filter on them, whatever. But like everybody's features are too harsh. There's no grace. And yeah, the wrinkles are too deep. Like everybody just looks like humans. To be fair, I think that the only two people that look and do well, and I'm just going to be controversial, but hear me out. I mean, that's what I'm here for. But the only two people, in my opinion, that I think do really well as the race and the characters that they portray, and I don't even know their names, are the dwarf king and queen.
Disa and the other one.
I understand that it's bizarre in this English setting to have this black lady as a dwarf in this time, with everything in the creation. However, I think she does a fantastic job.
She definitely has energy. She definitely has a lot of energy, for sure. She has, I will give her that much. Like, obviously, the lore stuff aside, her performance, her energy, her charisma, and her enthusiasm for the role, you can see that very similarly to the same vein that like the cast had in The Hobbit, with the whole dwarven crew there.
And I think that was actually pretty much what everyone said last year when the season ended, is that one of the positive points of it were those two. Yeah. And every time they were on screen, you could absolutely see how they were dwarves and the way that they were portrayed.
Like I enjoyed seeing those two.
Yeah, you enjoyed seeing them. But the only bad thing is that they didn't really have a lot of scenes.
Because they weren't the main focal point.
You know the funny thing about the dwarves? They had the cringiest interviews, but they had the best scenes in the show.
Yeah. And the bad thing is that we didn't get to see enough of them. And they did have like really incredible chemistry, but they're a positive in it. But unfortunately, they're so in the background that you can't really say, oh yeah, that's like a major reason why I'm watching.
They're underground. They're dwarves after all.
Before we continue our conversation, our lovely panelist, resident panelist, Sevvy needs to mosey out. She is a busy woman.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you guys for having me, and nice to see you again, Andrew. You can usually find me at Geeks and Gamers Tabletop and over at MoonSkull. And have a good stream, Nomi, and everybody else. Love you guys. Hearts for everybody, and I'll talk to you guys later.
Stay safe. Bye, Sevvy.
Wait, don't they have that thing where it's like the hearts like this, and then they've got the new generation? What's the next one that they're doing?
Isn't it like this?
Like
this one.
What is this?
So it's your pointer fingers, and then your middle fingers, and then you go like that.
Yeah.
Okay, I just rather like
that's more work than that needs to be.
Exactly.
Yeah, unnecessary.
I'm not paid enough for that.
Let me love you. Hang on a second.
Yeah. Ooh, I think this one is like for Korea, when you're like in Korea or something like that.
Really? Oh, that's cute.
Yeah.
That's so much easier. That's only one hand.
Yeah, that's way better. Gosh, the Koreans are on point.
Yeah, they always are.
The Asians are usually ahead of us.
Yeah.
Seems like it lately.
Yes. But
I'm gonna stick to like the old school. My fingers can't. They're not.
I don't do gang signs. Do gang signs.
I know, that's what I was like. Gang signs.
I'm a good girl. I don't throw hands.
This is like the scene in the first Iron Man. No gang signs, please.
Exactly. Yeah. That's so good. Oh, what a good movie.
That's an amazing movie.
Yes.
Sad.
Don't be sad.
Thinking about Iron Man.
Yeah, so I don't know. I'm gonna try and make it a little bit further than I did last time. I think I made it to episode 3, and then I stopped, and then I just picked it up on the very last episode, and I really didn't miss anything. Like the story was still going the same way that it was going, so it didn't really matter. But I'm gonna try to actually stick to it this time and watch all the episodes. But yeah,
you ain't no quitter.
Thoughts and prayers.
Right?
Do you want me to send you some wine, Lily?
Should we do a welfare check?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, seriously. No, I need I don't know if you guys saw my tweet when I was watching The Crow the other day, the remake.
Yes, I saw.
I didn't have enough alcohol in the house to watch
the play-by-play you gave us was already funny enough. I was like,
You're like, I made a mistake.
I did make a mistake. Like within the first, like, I think that was a record. Within the first minute of that movie, I was like, oh no.
dang.
Like, no, okay. This is bad. Yeah. So I'm gonna try to finish this one. But see, I think Amazon tricked all of us because if you notice, no one's really going viral or anything about this TV show because they released it at like 1 a.m. for everyone. Well, where we're at 1 a.m. and no one's picking up any traction off their tweets. I was looking at the very top tweets, and of course you have people like Gary, right? He has over like 100,000 followers. Of course he's gonna get traction. You have people like Critical Drinker. Of course he's gonna get traction. But like other people who are commenting on it, I think the most that I saw was like about 400 likes. No one's picking up any traction. It hasn't trended. I think that was Amazon's little plan because they're like, you know what? We saw what happened with the Acolyte. We don't want them to roast us all at the same time. And
they don't want the smoke.
Yeah. All of it happens all at the same time. So I think they did it on purpose because they're like, nope, the Americans are on fire.
The Americans are on fire in so many ways.
Yeah. They're like, well, look at what they did to the Acolyte.
As we should be.
You know, that's what we do. We throw tea and hands.
Exactly. Like we're here
Still waiting for part 2 of Amanda's diss track.
I prefer to take my tea in the harbor like a good American.
Exactly.
Do you microwave it?
Yes.
Of course, it's the American way.
Yeah, it's the American way, Smu.
The American way is the microwave.
I'm disappointed.
It's true.
You're not even you're European, but you're not even British. You're just German.
I drink coffee. I drink coffee.
His family comes from
That's
Scotland.
like all of Europe.
Right.
Yeah. It's like an Italian's like, yeah, I drink coffee. Okay. You have a breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So
right.
What makes you special?
Probably not even lie. My 7th cup of coffee today. So
7.
Good job.
You 3 cups ahead of me.
Goodness.
Good job, Mama. Good job.
I used to drink that much coffee, and then I had to stop.
I just make a big pot and drink it throughout the day. I dilute it pretty well with milk, so it's okay.
What's the most coffee you ever drank, Andrew?
Okay, so a little bit of backstory. I used to be a GameStop store manager. And this was back at a time when the hell you mean by that?
Oh my God.
Because
put it in the jar. Put it in the jar.
Let me finish.
That's number
3. No. Wait, I can back
this
this
is all
up.
Andrew showed up for. I'm so sorry.
No. I can back this up. Let me finish. Because I have a friend who used to manage a GameStop, and he had the exact same thing going on.
No, it's fine.
He's writing things down, guys.
Putting us all in the same canister. That's totally cool. It's fine. We're all the same.
Well, I shouldn't be talking. I'm a nurse. So.
You're not entirely incorrect. But that being said, this was back when midnight releases were still pretty prevalent because good games were still being released a little more often. And I was at a point where I was not only having a full carafe in the morning, but I was also having 3 to 4 7 espresso shot drinks every day.
Ooh. Well, obviously you're still alive, but
I am still alive.
How did you go through that? Like, I would have had a heart attack and just died right there, unalive myself.
But you would have died happy.
Tabitha at least gets it. So she's speaking English here at least. That's good. I did have to eventually cut back because it did reach a point where I would just be in the middle of the day, randomly, all of a sudden, I could feel my heart racing and pounding through my chest, and I was like,
I had that.
Not supposed to do that. Okay.
During the pandemic, I drank like 50 cups of coffee a day. And I was wondering why my coffee was running low so quickly.
Oh, yeah.
Really?
You're just
I was
only
like,
having
I wonder why
3 times as much as you
night.
probably should.
I mean,
I was like, I wonder why I
caffeine
can't sleep at
doesn't
night.
bother me unless I'm active. And since a majority of my job is sitting,
Mm-hmm.
I'm all right. My heart never
You sit?
flutters. So
What?
I do.
Yeah.
I have to make sure I get up and walk every now and then. So
Coffee is wonderful.
Coffee is wonderful. I do love coffee. I just don't drink nearly as much as I used to.
But I always try to make sure I have my giant cup of water with me all the time, all day too. I probably drink more of this than I do my coffee. So I feel that it balances itself out. You know, I cleanse the toxins as fast as I ingest them.
Yes.
There you go. That's the important thing.
It's also, it's called balance, what Tabitha just said.
It's called balance.
Well, I want to continue talking about the Lord of the Rings stuff.
I wish we were talking about Lord of the Rings.
Well,
Lord of the Rings.
You're not wrong.
She beat me to it. I was taking a sip of my wine, and she took the opportunity to get in front of me. It's fine.
Oh, as I learned from Tabitha last night, you know, you don't hesitate on things. You got to go for it.
He or she who hesitates is lost.
Yes, that's true.
What was that Glenn Powell quote again that you wanted to print on a T-shirt, Nomi?
If you feel it,
chase. Not feel him, feel it. If you feel it, chase it.
I've changed it for you. Whenever you talk about Glenn Powell, I'm like, if you feel, because she's like, he lives in Texas. I'm like, if you feel him, chase him.
Wow.
I respect men. Okay, I don't do that.
Okay.
Sure.
I do. I do.
Really getting that vibe here.
Oh my
totally.
gosh. Stop.
Yeah. I don't know about that.
Okay, now the tides are turning and the
we're
roasting's coming
respecting
on me now. Gosh.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Well, Andrew, you said that you're a comic book guy, so obviously you're an artist. You love artwork. You like to look at the details. Now, this is coming up pretty soon, and this is an anime style. So tell me, what are your thoughts on this? Like, love it or hate it?
So this is something I have to approach from a few different angles, because from a kind of a creative manager perspective, somebody who really enjoys high quality art, somebody who likes things aesthetically a lot, you know, comic books, which I'm a part of in the creation of, like it's a visual medium. I love animation. I love video games. I love visual mediums. I also love, you know, like normal boring people books with no pictures and just words. That's fine too, I guess.
Excuse you.
Don't say yourself short, Andrew. Jeez.
Look, I can read kind of, but the animation quality for this looks really good. Isn't this being done by the same people that did Castlevania, or am I misremembering that?
The guy who did Ghost in the Shell.
No, that's what it was. That's what it was. Okay, yeah. The animation quality is really beautiful from the trailers that I've seen. Like very, very impressive visually. As far as what they're doing with the story, I'm not entirely sold, because this is one of those things where they're very clearly taking a slice of time in Tolkien's Middle-earth history. And because it's not one of those eras where he was afforded the opportunity to flesh out in as much detail, they're taking a lot of liberties with it. And the unfortunate part of that is that they're taking liberties that don't align with things that came before and things that followed. That's the issue. If there was precedent for the way that they're handling things, from what I've seen so far, that would be another matter. But it does look like they're very deliberately trying to, and I don't want this to come across as though I don't like female characters, because I do really love female characters, especially powerful, you know, badass ones. But Tolkien's stories had a lot of very strong female characters. However, they were strong in different ways from the male characters. They had their own purpose. They had their own strengths. They had their own incredible qualities, and they were meant to be distinct. They weren't just meant to be a male character but with a female skin, right? It was, they were actually unique. You look at the way that they portray, that's not Galadriel, but you look at the way they attempt to portray Galadriel in Rings of Power, right? She's you could just replace her with any one of the Rohirrim, if you wanted to dumb them down, or, you know, any other male warrior characters, and just put a female skin over it. Like, that's all they did. And it kind of looks like that's what they're possibly doing with this. I don't like to be the kind of person that jumps the gun and cries foul and cries, you know, woke and this and that, like, as the knee-jerk reaction. I think that's dangerous. But they don't give us a lot of reason to give them the benefit of the doubt at the same time, right? So it's like, okay, like, I'm trying not to be that knee-jerk person, but at the same time, it's like, could you stop giving me reason to be that knee-jerk person, right?
Yeah, but the initial reaction when people saw the trailer with the red-headed girl was, she's a girl boss, immediately. Right, because that's what we're trained to say nowadays.
Right, without actually having full context as to whether is that even actually the case. Right, we don't know yet, and it might end up being the case.
Exactly.
I mean,
Hopefully,
when I
yeah.
first saw the
I hope
trailer, it was doing pretty good until the middle where she actually started talking. That's how
Stinging
Okay,
women
there's a
when they
It
open
was
up their
great
mouth.
until that woman opened her mouth. Wow.
See,
I'm
only
sorry.
Lily could say that. If Andrew would have said that,
Yes.
man, show would have been over.
So-
Oh yeah, it would have been over. I
I-
would have had stones cast at me. It's
There goes the channel.
I will
Careful
say
how he was worded.
I will say it for you, Andrew. But yeah, no, I thought the first like couple of minutes of it, I was like, okay, you know what?
Yeah.
This isn't as bad as I thought it was gonna be. Okay, this looks kind of cool. And then they get into what or her purpose is there, and I was like, oh my gosh, and like the knee-jerk reaction that you were just talking about. Except that I can already see it in the last half of the trailer by the things that she's telling everyone else around her, and all the little clips that we see of her doing these things, and you're like, here we
and
go
it's
again.
unfortunate because
Like,
there
really?
isn't precedent really for that in Lord of the Rings. Now, Éowyn is a different matter, but she was still a character that was handled very carefully. Like Tolkien walked that line, and there was a lot of depth to Éowyn. It wasn't just like, I want to be like the boys, right? And I can be strong and powerful too. That wasn't her motivation. That had nothing to do with anything like that.
No.
And it's not like something like, say, House of the Dragon, where there's a lot more precedent with, at least where they start out in House of the Dragon, obviously not in the history of House Targaryen prior to that, but it is setting, that entire series is setting the precedent for having somebody like Daenerys later on, right? But Tolkien wasn't doing that. He wasn't telling that story. And that's okay. Not every story has to tell that kind of a story. You can tell that story. It's perfectly fine. Just tell it well.
Absolutely.
But at the same time, again, you don't need to insert that type of story in places where it doesn't belong, places where it has no precedent. And there's this purveying thought and notion that's incorrect entirely in a lot of Hollywood writers and comic book writers and just video game writers now too, unfortunately, where just because there isn't a precedent for something, I get to do something groundbreaking. No, people have made crappy things for decades. Like, you're not doing anything special. Like,
It's like these
you're not
people
doing anything new or groundbreaking.
Yeah.
It's like these people championing, hey, look, I made a black person on the box art of this video game. I got news for you. Black people were on box art before. Congratulations. You did nothing new.
I'm making this TV series, or I'm remaking this TV series, but it's going to have a black lead because we've never had a black lead. What are you talking about? I grew up watching reruns of the Jeffersons. I watched the Cosbys. I watched Fresh Prince of Bel-Air,
and Vivian.
All in the Family, or Family Matters. Yeah, like all of those shows. Yeah,
Sister.
That too.
Perfect.
And I thought Brandy was cute as hell too when I was a kid. So like, in the freaking Cinderella film and all of that, right? So it's like, you're not groundbreaking anything. You're not doing anything special or new. You're pretending to. You're feigning to, and it comes across as phony. And you're just trying to prop yourself up. You're not doing anything special, and that's why nobody cares.
Well, it is totally fake. And honestly, even before this trailer came out, my expectations were already very low because I was reading an interview that was done with, I think, Fran Walsh. And she was like, we were reading the story, and what stuck out to us the most was this unnamed female character. And we wanted to tell her story. And it's like, why though? Like, why do you want to tell the story of an unnamed background person that's probably not that important? And not tell us the story of the actual person whose story it is. Like, I don't understand. Like, that story has never been told before. Why not tell that story to begin with? And if this is a success, I don't know, maybe you can branch out and tell other stories. But I mean, this is like the story of Helm's Deep. It's not named for an unknown background character.
Yeah.
It's Helm's Deep.
Yeah.
That's the issue. It's like, tell us that story. Don't tell us her story. I'm sorry, but I don't know who she is. That's a point. She's in the background. She's unnamed. I don't get it.
Well, do you guys think, because Fran Walsh, Philippa Boyd, Peter Jackson, they obviously have this love for Tolkien and everything like that. Do you think that when they have interviews like that, and she may have, or she said that, do you think that maybe they crop out like the rest of the interview where they expand on why they picked the unnamed character to make it seem like it's woke?
So many things.
That is entirely possible because I'm good buddies with Script Doctor PhD. If you guys are familiar with him, he's in our general sphere. He's very knowledgeable on the industry because he works in the industry, and he has mentioned on a number of occasions that a lot of times, yes, it is absolutely true that a lot of these actors, these producers, these directors and writers in Hollywood are very overtly and deliberately trying to push an agenda and do so fairly heavy-handedly, right? However, there are also a lot of times where that might be true, but actually only a small part of it, rather than it being necessarily directly heavy-handed. And it's the media that ends up honing in on that and hyper-focusing on that and pushing that because that's what gets the clicks from us. Right? Because we see that headline and like, oh, those mofos again, like, what is this? Rah, rah, rah. I'm going to read the headline and that's it.
And it makes you think that they sell out, like the people that you admire, and be like, I can't believe the devil got him too, kind of thing. Because we saw something happen like that with Gina Carano just a couple of months ago, where she had to go in and correct and be like, guys, this is not true. This article is fake. It's misinterpreting what I said. And I'm not really sure why a lot of actors don't come out. Maybe they're afraid to, but like why more actors and producers and stuff like that don't come out and correct these people, or maybe they get stifled. I don't know. But still, I just kind of wonder, it's like with people that loved the lore and everything so much, like why would they risk caving for the sake of creativity? Or the problem is also too is like, what if they really wanted to tell this story? That's the era that we're in, like you guys have all been talking about, where the knee-jerk reaction, it's like maybe they just really did want to elaborate on this no-named person and give something a shot, but because of the time frame that we're in right now, nobody is interested because it all just goes back to looking like girl boss.
Yeah, and that's a mess of their own making too.
Exactly.
But that's the thing that bothers me though. It would be like if we got Lord of the Rings, that story, but instead of telling us the main story first, we got like Legolas's story. And you're like, what?
Eowyn's backstory or something like that.
Yeah, like why wouldn't you tell us the story of the Fellowship and all of this stuff? Why are you picking a background character who, yes, Legolas was a very big part of it, but imagine if we like got his movie first, everyone would be like, what?
I don't know that the women would have complained back in the day, to be honest.
I was going to say, back in the early mid 2000s when those movies were coming out, like I remember being in middle school and high school and literally all the girls fawning over Orlando Bloom and be like, oh, you're another one of those. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I mean,
I get your point though.
Like in this context, I'm sorry. I'm trying to explain it the best that I can. I don't mean because, okay, someone else who's just randomly there, Pippin. Tell Pippin's story.
There you go. Nice.
Like, what do you got against Pippin?
I love Billy Boy.
I don't have anything against Pippin. I'm just trying to make a point that why wouldn't you tell the main story first before you go into the side characters that people don't really follow?
There's a reason it's called prologue, because it comes before the story that you already know. Exactly. Yeah. You don't write your prologue first. Otherwise, it's not a prologue.
What I also heard about the show is that the guy who did Ghost in the Shell is just associating himself with this project with name only. So then people are like, oh, it's this guy who worked on Ghost in the Shell. So it's actually, so people are assuming that it was done in-house by Warner Brothers as well. It's hard to tell because it is very anime looking. So also you have to consider that WB recently made the Suicide Squad Isekai as well, the animated show with Harley Quinn as well. So
okay, I haven't seen that yet. I saw the trailer for it and I was like, why would you do that? And then I'm not gonna lie, I might get some heat in the chat for this, maybe from some on the panel, but that'd be nothing new, right, Nomi?
That's new.
But I saw her. They gave Harley a freaking magical girl transformation, and I was like,
seen Amanda Waller?
I don't want to think about that part. But the Harley Quinn transformation scene, I was like, I'm kind of here for it. Like that actually was like in the context of how goofy and zany Harley can be, not more insufferable female Deadpool type of zany, but just like her own brand of zany. because the former is what they've mostly made her in the comics and in the movies. But like the latter is kind of fun, and I'm kind of here for it. I don't think I'm gonna go and watch the show. I have no real interest or need to, but like the animation quality looked fantastic. I was like, why can't Warner like put out something that looks like this? Instead, all their DC animated films lately look like Archer.
Yeah,
That's
it's a
true.
bit weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, look at the Amazon one that came out recently from Batman.
Yeah,
You
Cape
see Andrew just
Crusader.
dying inside.
I don't want to talk about Cape Crusader.
I don't want to talk about that either.
But yeah, like I said, there's a bit of morbid curiosity when it comes to Lord of the Rohirrim. I kind of want to watch it just to see what it's about, and maybe hope that I'm being proven wrong by the trailers, because there's a Japanese trailer as well that is slightly different to the one that we got. And there's also a reveal in there that we didn't get in the West. Funnily enough, I mean, granted, it's in Japanese, but the reveal is still pretty cool that they have in that trailer. I actually put it in the private chat.
Okay.
It could say the international trailer, but granted, it's in Japanese, so I don't understand it necessarily.
There are bad guys. We must save them. Good people, hurry! Get to your horse. There you go.
Hi,
That's
Larry.
the translation.
Wow. I didn't know you spoke Japanese, Tabitha.
I'm pretty fluent. Can't you tell?
Yeah, she's fluent in a lot of.
Oh wow! Oh wow! This all looks better now. But let me go ahead and show it to you guys.
See,
I'm giving. Give me a second. I was gonna ask Smu if I play it in full, would I get hit for it?
I would say play it without audio and make a few stops in it.
Okay.
I mean, okay, you can skip the first 30 seconds because that's like almost.
I like the throwback to showing the map of Middle Earth, though.
Yeah, it does look beautiful.
Yeah.
I will agree with Andrew.
Gosh, that animation is so pretty, right?
It's beautiful.
I love the colors, the lighting, the explosion.
Oh, we got the Olifants.
Okay.
Oh, he's gonna take her head off.
So here, I'm gonna criticize something here. So I really like the animation quality. However, the costume design or the character design here doesn't make me think Lord of the Rings. This makes me think just like general like fantasy or isekai anime.
You know what that reminds me of? Rise of the Shield Hero.
Yeah.
Have you seen that one?
That was exactly what was popping up into my head.
It's like Naofumi training with Raftalia or something like that.
Yep.
It's very reminiscent of that.
Yep. Yeah.
I don't know, but she's in a bad place right here.
Yeah, right. That dagger's about to come right on the mountain.
I like that they're using real weapons. I mean, you know what? It weeds out the weak ones. You know,
Yeah.
only the strongest survive in times like this. So, good for them. But I am super
Remember
curious
the
to
advice
see
that
how she.
Galadriel gave. Stab, twist, and gut, folks.
Get good or get dead.
Right,
Get good or get go scrub. So yeah, but if
good
you
advice for
look at this
anybody.
freeze frame, I mean, animation wise, it looks pretty good. I'll give them that. You can see there's a lot of money and time invested into that. Question is, how much was affected by Western ideology in that thing?
In terms of the
that's
story,
always
yeah.
what catches me off guard with this kind of thing. I always have to brace myself, thinking like, don't set your expectations too high. You might get disappointed.
And it sucks to be in that position right now because
exactly
it's really depressing.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's not good for your soul, but it's depressing that our default is worst case scenario
Distrust.
at this point. Yeah, like they pushed us into that corner, right? Like they did because they kept destroying IP after IP and giving us reason after reason to not trust them. And that's really sad and unfortunate because now we have to either catch ourselves and stop ourselves when we see something and immediately have that knee-jerk reaction we were talking about, right? Because like, oh, what are they going to do now, right? Like I'm here. I woke up like an hour early to watch the Sonic 3 movie trailer when it dropped earlier this week. And I was just losing my skull the entire time. I was so happy. I was over the moon. And afterwards, I was like, what would people's reaction would have been like if they had shown Rouge the Bat or Amy Rose in that trailer?
Big the Cat. Big
right?
the Cat.
Like what
right?
What would people have done? Like, would people have been like, oh no, are they going to make this a girl boss film and Amy's going to save the day, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, why are we here? Like, what, how? I know how we got here, but it sucks that that's where we're at.
Could you imagine these Sonic movies with the original ugly Sonic design?
Oh my!
I was on a show yesterday. We watched the trailer for Sonic 3. Now, I paused a perfect frame where Knuckles and Sonic and Tails were like facing off against the new bad. I don't want to spoil it because my people may have not watched the trailer yet. But I was like, could you imagine that scene with ugly Sonic?
It shortly.
I was gonna.
I'm like, it's on our list.
The internet.
Yeah, it's on our list. We're gonna talk about it. So.
Well, if you're okay with spoiling it, then facing off against Shadow.
Shadow. We just teased at the end of number 2.
Yeah,
that's true.
I'm pretty sure everybody knows. Like they've already announced that Keanu was playing him and everything. So I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Keanu's perfect as Shadow.
Yeah. He's got has a certain gravitas to play him.
Shadow is literally John Wick, and at the same time, Shadow has traditionally always had a pretty monotone voice, and Keanu Reeves has a fairly monotone voice.
I don't think I've ever heard that man get excited. I mean, even when he said "whoa" in Bill and Ted, it still was kind of like it's still kind of down here. It's never up here. It's still kind of.
You've not seen the reveal when he was talking about Cyberpunk when the game came out, right?
I haven't.
He was like, "Check this out." He was like pointing at the screen. It was so funny.
You're breathtaking.
You're breathtaking.
That was a great moment. Great moment. Somebody created an animation, like redid that scene, that moment, but with a CGI Shadow and had his exact VO over it. It was great. It was amazing.
I love that.
Welcome back, Nomi.
Sorry, so news that you probably don't need to know, but the AC broke in my house.
That's right.
So
I'm so sorry.
So nobody had to go hide in the refrigerator for a couple of minutes.
Yeah. I actually got a glass of ice too. I was like, I need to chill for a second.
Yeah, don't get overheated. Heat exhaustion is a legitimate thing, even indoors.
No, it is. Here in the part of Texas I'm at, it was at least 96, I think. And with no AC, it just consolidates the heat in my room. In my room particularly, out in the living room and the other bedrooms, perfect. But here, and also with my PC running, I'm in a sauna.
Yeah. You're just, you may as well be inside an engine.
Yeah, so
I
people are accustomed to crossing the desert.
I
meant, and by your people, I meant our people, the Jewish side.
What do you mean, you people?
That's why I corrected it. I said our people, the Jewish side.
Once again, half of me is offended.
Oh my gosh!
I'm part of that. I'm part of that half too.
Nomi hit one half and Tabitha hit the other.
I don't look it, but my last name's Rodriguez, so.
I was talking about our Jewish heritage. Gosh, you guys.
Well, I don't have any of that.
Everything.
So
talk about
that I know of.
reactions.
So Andrew, you may not see it, but I'm actually Jewish.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm so far. What kind of reaction is that?
Huh.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I am also part Jewish.
No, I find that super cool and interesting. Like it's like I'm made up of a whole bunch of things. Like half of my family, my dad's side is I get Peruvian and Albanian, so that's where I get my last name and my nose. And then on my mom's side, it's all like Irish, German, Nordic. So that's why I look the way I do, aside from the nose.
Okay.
Wholesome.
I find the amalgamations of various ethnicities really interesting.
Okay. Yeah. No. Like, well, Tabitha wasn't wrong. Like, I did get into this country by my family, being good swimmers.
I didn't say that. I was referring to our Jewish half. I wasn't.
Nomi.
It's not racist if I'm saying it. Because
that's your family. My family came here legally, driving without them.
Nomi's family swam here. Lily's like, heck no, we're driving.
Yeah, I know. My family's like,
do it without a license. Who cares? Or buy a license from the guy outside of Home Depot for $350.
But we're all actually legal now. My parents did they did their due process. For the past. Let's see.
Keyword.
So for the past 45 years, yes, my parents are legal.
There you go.
Since then. So yes. So
Okay.
but I just
45.
I like to make the jokes. I was like, oh, it's because I'm brown. But
We all got the jokes.
Yes, I'm sorry.
I do not associate with Nomi when she says those things because my family had a very different experience. So I'm like just saying that because I don't want everyone to think that we all had the same experience. No, my family was here legally.
Yes.
For like decades and decades and decades.
But it's the joke. My parents did wait at the bridge, so yes.
I did. They were handing out samples, of course.
My grandfather on my dad's side came up from Peru, and he wound up fighting in the war too. So he earned his slot.
Yeah.
Yes.
There you go.
A good amount of my family actually did that too. But one part of a good amount of my family that did not agree with everything was watching The Acolyte. My brother, I talked to him a few days ago. He's like, hey, I know you're like more into this than I am. What was that I saw? I was like, you saw trash is what I'm telling you.
Oh boy, here we go.
Yes. And then we got
all right. Is my glass full?
And that's another reason why I got ice as well.
Scotch, actually. I need more scotch.
That's another reason why I got ice, because this one's a doozy, guys.
I need to restock my rum.
She's so oh my gosh, so cringe.
Good old scotch.
So I'm pretty sure everybody knows by now that the Acolyte has been canceled.
What?
And, I know.
Saying it so.
Anyway,
everyone's favorite Star Wars.
This is brand new information.
Hashtag renew the Acolyte.
We got 700 signatures.
Yeah, it's up to like
50K.
101 now. But
Wait, what?
Some of the actors have been making some comments. Like I know Manny Jacinto put up like a little thing just of him and his character and Osha holding hands or whatever. It's like a little goodbye. They've been making little comments like that. But leave it to Amanda Stenberg, who came out and gave us this beautiful gem of an Instagram story.
Is she gonna knock Rachel Zegler off of her current throne of being most insufferable actress in Hollywood?
I hope so. I'm waiting for her diss track part 2.
That'll fix the ratings. At least Rachel Zegler can actually act, and she can actually sing too. I don't know if any of y'all saw Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes.
I saw her in
the prequel.
She is a very good singer. It's just that
she's
nobody
got
wants to listen to her because
she's just insufferable. Yeah.
Maybe they'll get together and make like a.
Oh my gosh!
Oh, maybe they'll do a duet, and it'll be like the worst-selling album ever.
Amanda does the rapping, and she does the chorus.
I really hope so, because any tweet that I seem to put out about her goes wild. Like, I'm like, please, Amanda, keep saying things. Keep going on your Instagram and saying things.
One day we're going to see 300 Mirrors as seen on Fox News.
Right.
As seen on No Graphic. It's a Gundam. Heel versus Babyface. The list goes on.
Well, but yeah, it's like a really long thing. I'm not really sure we need to read the entire thing, but I'll just like pick out the things that everyone had most of the issue with. So she's basically talking about why this TV show got canceled. We all know it was the lowest rated Star Wars show. It was the lowest viewed Star Wars show. So it cost $180 million to make this season. I'm pretty sure, the average person can kind of put all that together and say, you know what? That's not good for business. Let's not renew it. But of course, the people now are the most intelligent. So Amanda had something to say, and she said that the show was basically canceled because they were getting a rampage of vitriol that they had been facing since the show was barely announced. And she said that in particular, it was a rampage of hyper-conservative bigotry and vitriol, prejudice, hatred, and hateful language towards us. And she said that this was the reason why the Acolyte got canceled. It was everybody who's
wait. I thought. Hold on. I need clarification here. Excuse me. I thought it was just a very small minority of voices that were criticizing the Acolyte. So which is it? Is it that a few minority voices have that much power, or what was the phrase? There's just more of us.
Yes. Yes. It's Yeah, so these people are not taking into account that they're proving everyone's point. Most of the people actually watch this were hate watching it. Can you imagine if all the hate watchers hadn't seen it, how much lower the viewership would have been for them if all of us hadn't been watching it to make fun of it?
None of those people that are signing that petition to #renew the Acolyte actually watched the freaking show.
No.
That's why I said to Drinker's tweet as well when I replied to that one. I was like, none of the 50,000 people that signed that freaking petition at the time I was replying to that didn't bother watching the show.
I replied to one of the tweets about the freaking petition as well, and I was like, so what are y'all gonna do this time if it actually gets renewed? Which it's not. What are you gonna not watch it even harder this time? Like. Because that's what you did the first time around. None of y'all watched it. Like all of y'all are just like doing all of this on Reddit and on Tumblr and Instagram and Facebook and Twitter. But if all of those accounts were legitimate people and watched the show, I don't know, maybe it wouldn't have fallen off the ratings charts in the third week. No. I don't know, like I just want to. Can we talk about that for a second?
Let's talk about it.
He's getting serious.
He took off his glasses. Let's go.
This is actually serious. There was a joke that went around back when Solo, a Star Wars story, was in theaters. The whole Solo lost money thing. Well, I have a story for y'all. Star Wars lost money. The amount of money that Disney paid to acquire the IP has not been earned back. They're in the red when it comes to this franchise on a whole. We are living in an era, a timeline. I'm actually okay with this timeline, but it is kind of sad, where we are going to get Godzilla and Sonic the Hedgehog movies that are more profitable, profit, as in made money that they could put into the bank than Star Wars. Star Wars, guys. The fact that we're in a timeline where a Star Wars show would fall off the Nielsen charts in its third week is like, I don't know if these people just don't have self-respect or if they don't care or what it is, because if I owned an IP that was as beloved and universal and just like it took the world by storm for such a long time, to take that and reduce it down to something to where it can't even stay on a ratings chart for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Like, that's the moment where you look at everybody involved and say you're gone.
You're fired. You're fired.
If you have any 2 cents about you, I don't care if the white, black, brown, polka dot, striped like a zebra, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Get rid of all of them, because there is something necrotic there in terms of what you have affecting your IP. If you can't get Star Wars to stay in a top 10 on anything,
you done effed up.
You screwed up big time, like really, really bad.
Piggyback into what you were saying.
The problem is that the person that's in charge right now is all for this. If there was somebody who was in charge that actually wanted to fix things and was like, what do you mean you guys keep losing me money? What are you guys doing wrong? This is all Kathleen Kennedy. This is all her doing. That's why everyone keeps saying, like, until this lady leaves and everyone that she has put in their positions also gets fired once she leaves, is when we might get everything back on track. But while that lady is still there, we're just going to keep getting a bunch of crap for Star Wars. This is what we're getting. And they're losing all this money, but the problem is that they still get money coming in from other properties that Disney owns.
Because I want to segue into that, of what you just said, of property that Disney owns. If we want to look at this of Disney losing money, and we were one bad image away from not having a series, and it's going to be Sonic that I'm talking about. Mufasa is coming out December 20th this year.
That's the first time
Who was asking for this movie?
No one.
It was me. I'm sorry. It's my fault.
Dang it, Tabitha. I thought you were a Ravenclaw. You're supposed to be smart.
I know. I slipped up. I made one mistake. And now we're all going to pay for it. And I just want to
Thanks, Tabitha.
I want to apologize. I'm sorry.
And they call Slytherins the bad guys. Here she's asking for Mufasa.
But I ruined Disney. I'm sorry.
But if you look
it's
at
all
this,
your fault, Tabitha.
Do we have house representation on this panel?
That's a great question.
Hufflepuff.
Oh no.
Respect.
Hufflepuff.
Oh, no.
Lily, what are you?
Gryffindor.
Righteous. Point stealing.
Mm-hmm.
Tabitha's the Ravenclaw.
You're
All right.
Hufflepuff?
Hufflepuff. All right, respect.
No, I'm not. I'm not Ravenclaw. It's Smu.
No,
you're Hufflepuff?
yeah, I know you're
I'm
Ravenclaw,
Hufflepuff,
Tabitha.
We are outdone by Hufflepuffs this time.
Wow.
We are number one.
It is the rise of the Hufflepuff.
It's because it's easier to get into your house.
This is
Sorry.
You don't belong anywhere else.
Hang on,
And
I
I'll
need to
take
make
you.
a dramatic zoom for that one.
Hey, but at least we're real ones that will die for you guys.
Okay, yeah, but the
It's true, just like
Ravenclaws-
Cedric Diggory died.
Yeah.
Without the
It just dawned on me.
Harry
Now that
wouldn't have
Nomi's
won.
showing this, it dawned on me
Okay.
what's actually coming out the same day as Mufasa.
Yeah,
This-
which means this movie is not going to be watched like at all.
Yeah.
So the
Sonic is
redeeming-
going to kill Mufasa worse than Scar did.
Yes.
Sonic's gonna obliterate this. Yeah.
Shadow is going to be
I didn't
holding
give an idea for
Mufasa
meme.
over a cliff and be like, "Long live the king." By the way, that's me.
You
Where's the
better
meme
make
at?
that
Somebody
meme.
needs to
Make
make
the
a
meme.
meme. Make the meme.
Yep. Mm.
Yeah, make the meme,
Yeah.
Andrew.
I don't know how to do all that. That's the high tech stuff that you kids do.
No, that's the point. You just kind of cut it out in
Kids.
a photo.
All right,
frame.
I will.
It's sad art, Andrew. It's just
I will make it.
sad
I will make
art.
it later on.
Okay.
It's gonna be a massacre.
Excellent.
at the
And I'll
box
tag
office.
all of you. Well, not. I'll tag you underneath it after I post the original meme. But yes, but no.
I'll be
like,
the one
wait-
person she forgets. Watch.
I won't. I'll probably forget you. But no, what we were talking about earlier is like Disney just likes to lose money. They're not getting back of what they bought for Star Wars. They're obviously not going to make what they're trying to do of like murdering our childhood with Mufasa. But instead, we got Sonic 3 that can redeem that in our childhood. Because aren't you a Sonic fan, Andrew? If I saw that tweet, yes, you are.
I am a massive Sonic fan. I want to make a very clear distinction. I do not associate with the online Sonic fan base because let me tell you,
I mean, the
there's
crazies?
some weird
Tabitha,
stuff there. Like I don't,
Tabitha's just like,
I do not condone like most of them. But yes, I've been a Sonic fan since I was like 4.5, watching the Saturday morning cartoon. I collected all the Archie comics. I had, when I was a little kid, I had stuffed animals, I had toys. I would beg my mom to take me to, Burger King, just because the Happy Meals had the Sonic the Hedgehog toys at the time. I collected all of that stuff. I was a massive fan, loved the video games. I was a Sonic kid growing up, not a Mario kid, though I like Mario a lot. And I loved, and this is actually this is kind of bittersweet because it is at the expense of these other things that I love, because I'm seeing DC and Marvel and Star Wars and Lord of the Rings go down the drain in terms of their, current like mainstream representation. But I'm getting to see other things that I love get more attention and get shown love because I watched the Sonic films and I was there when they dropped that initial trailer and I wrote an article about it and I was like, yikes. What was that? And then the director was like, you know what? Well, we hear you. Give us a few extra months. Give us some time. We'll come back to you. And you know what they did? They understood the assignment then, and they nailed it. And not only did they nail they honestly lucked out that was really the main issue with it, because that was really the only thing that they could fix about the film. Otherwise, they would have had to, do reshoots and all that. Yeah. Everything that they needed to change was all just CGI, post-production stuff. That's why it was a fairly quick turnaround from that initial crap trailer to the one that we got. And that was great because now I get to look at this like subgenre of film, video game movies that traditionally were just kind of laughed at, right? They were a joke. And I'm like, both of the Sonic the Hedgehog movies have been pretty profitable so far. Like they've done very, very well. Like the Resident Evil films actually did well in terms of like money, only because they were fairly low budget and a bunch of people went to watch the train wreck. But the Sonic the Hedgehog films are doing well because they're actually good films that show genuine love. You can see it. If you're a Sonic the Hedgehog fan and you go see those movies, and I did, I saw them in IMAX day one. I even saw the second one in 4DX where like they got the moving chairs and like they'll spray you with mist and stuff. And there's scenes where Sonic's running on the water. And I was just there. I was like all for it. I was
running with
time.
Sonic. Yeah.
Right. Like honestly, I felt like I was a little kid again. Right. You can tell that there was genuine love there. And so I get to see that happen now with these other franchises that I love. But it is sad that it seems like, and it doesn't need to be this way, but it does seem like on its face that it's at the expense of these other things that I love. But that's because now it seems the people who are trying to make these movies actually care about this stuff. The people that are making these and own these properties, they don't know what it looks like to be a good steward of the thing that they hold precedence over, right? And that's sad, but like I'm so stoked for Sonic 3. I'm legitimately stoked.
I haven't
for that
seen
movie.
the other Sonic movies yet.
Really? You like this isn't me trying to like hard sell you on it as a massive Sonic fan. Like if you just want to feel good, positive message, like positive representation of like family and unity and goodness, like if you want to come away feeling good from a movie instead of hating everything, like just watch them. They're just fun.
What if I want to feel like trash?
They're super cute.
You watch Star Wars.
The Acolyte or Star Wars. Yeah, like,
you watch Disney Star Wars.
Or Rings of Power. Like, that's what the first two topics were.
I love Star Wars. Star Wars. I do, but I mean, Sonic the video games, like on Sega Genesis, like that was my game. Always go to that opening Sega. You got the hip happening music, and Sonic's there winking at you and everything. I love it. Sonic 2 was my was it 2? Sonic 2 was my favorite one, but I never watched the movies. Yeah, so
the movies are worth a watch.
They're really good.
They're really good.
I was told they were good.
James Marsden plays a phenomenal character in those
He does.
movies. He is so charming.
What I did like about the second Sonic is that it's Ben Schwartz who voices Sonic. And if you're not familiar, he is in Parks and Rec, and he plays a character, Jean-Ralphio, and he's like this moocher, kind of want to make it big kind of guy. And, you know, Jean-Ralphio is known for like, it's the worst in Parks and Rec. What I liked about Sonic 2 is that they implemented that quote in the movie. I was like, oh my gosh, they added Jean-Ralphio to the movie. So I like it because they, listen to the fans, like this original Sonic looks trash, looks like a crack Sonic. And then they fixed it, and then they're adding pop culture, like relevant pop culture that's still being said to this day.
So that it attracts the old audience and the new. And I say that loosely, but
Ugly Sonic still lives on though. He's in Chip and Dale.
Yes, he is in Chip and I was gonna bring that up. He is in Chip and Dale Rescue, the modern one. The modern
I was gonna say I don't remember any Sonic in my Chip and Dales.
No, so the modern Chip and Dale
really
from Disney. The Ugly Sonic is featured in it, and it's just like they're at con or something, and they're just like, yeah, he was featured in this movie, but he didn't make it, and he's just like they're signing autographs.
Funny.
It's like, wow.
Oh, Tabitha, fun fact: if you haven't seen the modern Chip and Dale movie, there is Baloo the bear in it, and he is voiced by Stephen Curtis Chapman.
He was. I saw that movie. What? He was voiced by Stephen Curtis Chapman.
Yes.
Dang.
He was voiced by him.
I'm hearing it.
I'm diving in. I'm going in. Like,
caught in the rush, stuck in the flow. Yes.
And over my head, I want to go. Rivers deep. The river's wide. Oh my gosh.
So sink or swim, I'm diving in.
I cannot believe that. That is hysterical.
Oh, man, Andrew, that's even though I roasted you and I feel bad that I roasted you, I think you and I just became friends.
I think we kind of did. Or at least frenemies. At least frenemies, right?
Well, I do want to apologize for the things I've said because I'm living in Asane right now. So I'm like kind of burning up.
She's not quite herself.
You have nothing to apologize for.
Maybe.
Look, my longtime friends say far worse things to me daily. So it's okay.
That's what longtime friends do, Andrew.
It really is.
They roast you
to long friendships.
To long friendships. But so you've played the game, correct, Andrew, of Sonic? Like all the Sonic games?
I've played almost every single one. I think there are only like 2 that I haven't. And they're 2 of the more recent ones that I heard were
Sonic
just
Boom?
Miserable. No. And Sonic Forces.
Nope.
That and Sonic Forces, those were hard passes for me. But aside from that, I've played them all, including like borrowing my friend's Game Gear to play the Sonic Triple Trouble and stuff that were exclusive to those.
I miss the Game Gear. It was fun carrying this gigantic brick around with the teeny tiny little screen. I felt powerful.
When Steam announced
giant.
Well, when Steam announced their Steam Deck, I was like, it looks like a sleeker Game Gear.
Yeah,
it does. It really does.
I almost want to get one and get it like custom etched on the back like Game Gear, just because.
That would be cool.
Well, you could.
But yes, I have played just about all the games.
Okay, well, I was going to bring that up because we're going to go back into Star Wars because their recent game that came out isn't doing so hot.
Can I take back my answer?
Just done the Sonic trailer, and then you can go into this. So
okay, I can do that too.
Oh,
well, we're already on Sonic. Yeah.
Before we delve into just despair.
Yeah.
Oh no, not Outlaws.
No, I've seen.
Is that where they made the women?
I didn't consent to any of this.
Yes, they made the woman ugly on purpose.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh!
And she
Shout out to the ugly women out there.
Holla! Just kidding.
I identify as an ugly woman too.
I wasn't ready for that.
Oh my god.
That's terrible.
There's dozens of us, dozens. So, but
me and Tabitha hashtag can't relate.
It depends on the day. It depends on the day.
But I don't want to play it and get hit, but I'll do it by clip, and I won't have the audio on.
So
but
if you do it in 10-second chunks, you should be fine.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah,
it's Cyclops.
And I also liked that the Paramount Stars, they changed it to the rings.
To the rings.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was losing my mind in the theater when I saw the first one, and
Me too.
I saw them doing that. I was like,
they understood the assignment.
They really did understand the assignment.
I
There's my
feel
boy
like they're just gonna
Shadow.
leave the stream.
Can I just say that
watch
frame with
Sonic.
the island looked like Shutter Island.
When
When I first saw it, I was like,
yeah.
Shutter Island. I was like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm in.
Leonardo DiCaprio movie.
Yes, it is a Leo movie. That's the one movie I haven't seen by him, and I know I've heard it's been good, so I need to see it.
It's been also was filmed in Germany. Believe it or not.
Ooh.
Well,
It can psychologically mess you up a little bit. So if you are
well, I know what I'm
susceptible
watching
to things.
tonight.
The Phasmophobia? Right, okay.
Something like that. But how
You're
do you
ugly
feel?
and psychologically damaged. Shutter Island, y'all.
Let's go.
Let's do it.
What's that SpongeBob quote? I'm ugly and I'm proud. Yes.
Wow. SpongeBob wasn't my jam as a kid.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. No, sorry. Then I'm the only one. See, like I'm the only one here.
Sorry.
But we could all say that I don't know but I don't know about you guys. I like that they picked Keanu Reeves as Shadow. I thought it was going to be Hayden Christensen, but I was like, oh, Keanu Reeves.
That was one of
okay
the
with that.
rumors going around.
Yeah.
Wasn't it? That was one of the rumors. But they had rumored, and it's funny. I can't remember what came first. The rumor from like trash websites, or if it was a fan casting, kind of like with John Krasinski when it came to Reed Richards. But yeah, fan casting sounds right. And it's kind of one of those things where I think the people who are calling for that, like, it's because they understood, like, Shadow is a character who is fairly monotone, has a specific vocal range that he doesn't really exceed. Like there's a very small window in which he operates within in the games, and that's kind of Keanu in hedgehog form, essentially. And then like you compare it to like John Wick, and Shadow sometimes has been known to use guns in his games,
when do we get
even though we try to not.
The movie?
Honestly, I'm waiting for all of the fan meme posters, movie posters, because I think it'll just be a ton of fun. I'm sure some are already being made, but I don't pay attention to social media as much as, well, no, I don't really want to pay attention to social media. But I think it's a fantastic casting. I'm with you, Nomi.
Okay, good. Well, I know, like, I don't know. Well, the last animation movie that Keanu Reeves was in, he did Toy Story 4, and he was the
Duke Kaboom.
There he is. Yeah, that Duke Kaboom. Yeah,
I don't know what you're talking about because there's no Toy Story 4.
You're right, Lily.
That was him.
You're right.
I'm about to blow people's minds here. I haven't seen past 2.
You're not missing out.
I've only seen up through Toy Story 2. It's because I saw it in theaters when I was a kid.
I mean, I like Duke Kaboom. He was pretty
3.
funny.
Okay.
Yeah, he was funny, but there's no.
It wasn't worth it. I mean,
no.
Yeah, but I didn't like that he had a crisis and then he found himself, and then also with Buzz Lightyear.
Well, I mean, he was the Canadian Evel Knievel. Duke Kaboom.
Oh, he looks so good there. They did such a good job.
His character model looks better than Sonic.
A little bit. I mean, that might be a design preference thing. I mean, Shadow is my favorite character, so maybe I'm a little biased. But I like to be of the mind that if I generally like something even more, it means I'm going to be more critical of it because I'm going to, it's like I'm a fan of this thing, so I want it to be the thing that I'm the fan of. Right? Challenge Paris Olympics marks me. Oh my!
Yes.
Please tell me that's a thing. Please tell me that's a thing. I need to see these memes.
That would be funny. Honestly, to me, all of these characters are adorable. So I see them and they're super cute.
Fair enough.
They are.
They're adorable. Look at him.
Shadow has a tragic backstory.
Yeah, he does.
Share what the backstory is.
Wait,
so
he was gonna spoil the movie because I don't know.
Yes,
okay.
It would.
Okay, then never mind.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Yeah,
no spoilers.
Yeah, all right, fair enough.
They do have, if that's close enough, they do have that character with.
Oh my gosh, that is so funny.
That's amazing. I just want to also give a huge shout out to Idris Elba as voice acting Knuckles, because he is the best voice actor for Knuckles ever. And I've grown up, like I said, I played all of the games, and I've enjoyed all of them that I've played just about. But like, he really knocked it out of the park, and he is underratedly hysterical. He's straight man funny, so he's funny without trying to be funny.
What is gay man funny?
Ha ha ha. No, straight man, as in like nobody here's old like me, so nobody here probably watched the Groucho Marx films growing up. So the straight man is part of like a comedy group who like the other characters will play off of because they're being deliberately funny, right? They're saying the things that you would be expected to laugh at, but the straight man is laughed at because of his delivery, not the words that he's saying.
Oh, okay. So it had nothing to do with his preferences.
No.
Okay, no, that's where I was like, what's the difference?
No, it's that he's just like, he's very nonchalant, right? He's not. Knuckles is being all of his lines. He's being serious. Like the words that he's saying, he's serious, but it's almost like that fish out of water type thing where he's in a situation where he doesn't understand the context for anything. So he's just taking everything really like literally and seriously. And Idris Elba really, he nails the delivery of those lines like none other. Like it.
He has a little tone of African in the voice, though. The first time I saw the trailer for the third one, I thought of Ugandan Knuckles for some reason.
Oh my gosh.
That's so cute.
Oh my gosh. I love it so much.
That meme is perfect. That's a perfect meme right there.
The fact that they have both is great.
Don't be too suspicious.
I need you to DM me that. That is the most amazing thing I've seen all week.
Sure, I'll send it to you.
I love the guy that
Tabitha was the one who sent it to me. So
somebody made a meme about John Wick and the Turkish shooter there. I was like, they were like, well, if somebody kills his dog, we know what kind of movie trilogy we're gonna get.
Yeah, I saw that.
That was kind of funny.
Word.
True story.
He looks he's so average looking as well. I didn't even know he was like a Turkish.
Dude, he looks like a schmo, right? He's just.
He does.
Do you know that he's not been doing this for long? The story that
you wouldn't suspect somebody like him to.
Well, the story that I heard with the Turkish Paris Olympic guy was that I think he went through a divorce, needed a hobby.
Oh, so he took up shooting.
Why not? It's way to let out a frustration, and he was just good at it and gave it, no pun intended, just gave it a shot. Like just gave it a try and was really good at it. And here he is. What would he win? Silver, gold, silver? He's a medal winner.
That's amazing.
That's
and
amazing.
he has a kitty.
He has a kitty.
Yep.
I did
Oh,
hear
okay.
that. I did hear that.
Mm-hmm.
That's
But yeah,
amazing.
no, I love that we have the internet here that can make good quality content like that we can laugh
That's
at
what
and
the
enjoy
internet's for.
versus a
Yes.
diss track,
I love memes. I love memes.
Oh,
But
yeah,
you can
diss
actually
track.
play the the 15 seconds. Actually, you might be
Okay.
fine.
Oh gosh,
Yeah.
this clip
Yes,
had
Oh,
me
this part is
This
so
losing
funny.
my
With sound.
mind.
With sound. With
Part
sound.
is so funny.
You can play that with sound. Actually,
Oh, I can? Okay.
go back 3 seconds and play it with sound.
I'm
5
excited.
seconds. Yep. Let's go.
He is much
There he
more
is.
impressive than the hedgehog I fought previously.
Dude, I'm standing right here.
You're a colorful bunch.
We don't want to fight you.
Actually, Sonic, I would like to fight.
My turn. Can we just talk about this?
And then
Can we just talk about this?
Andrew, isn't there a lore, like an actual Sonic lore that Shadow does not like Tails?
That's a
Look,
meme, I think.
if we're, I know it's a meme, but if we're being truly technical, Shadow doesn't like much of anybody.
Oh, okay.
He tolerates
He's not a
people. Like
person.
he's really not a people person. That's not entirely all fault of his own. But he's just he doesn't typically tend to play with well with others, with very, very few exceptions. But this entire sequence here is really cool because some of the animations that they do foreshadow, this is where I get to geek out as a Sonic fan for a second. Some of the animations here, the poses that they have him strike when he's about to strike Knuckles, when he kicks Tails, and when he nails Sonic are actual poses taken from fight sequences from some of the games. Like actual poses that he will make, choreography he will make in the games.
Even the walking up the car sequence, that's kind of a reference to when he was first shown in
Sonic Adventure 2.
Right?
Yep. Yeah, there's so much love put into these films so far. So right now, I have all of the grace and all of the hope in the world for this film because I've yet to be given reason to think otherwise. Right. Like I've seen some people in comments being like, well, I hope it isn't woke, or I hope I hope they don't, crap the bed with this one or whatever. And I'm like, guys, like, hold on, like dial it back a second. Like what reason has this studio given you to worry about that right now? Like, well, we're in present day. No. I don't care about we're in present day. Case by case basis. There is no precedent for you to worry about that with this specific studio. If this was a Star Wars project, cool. Like, I get it. Trust me. Like, if this was an MCU project, I get it. But
if they stick
there's
the
no
landing
reason.
with this,
if
they stick the landing with this is going to be a pretty solid trilogy.
It'll be a solid trilogy, and it will be a very profitable trilogy.
Well, it is kind of profitable because Knuckles has his own show on Paramount.
Yeah, which got good viewership.
Yep.
So, I mean, they're striking while the iron's hot. I'm glad they're taking a little bit of time in between each entry. Like, they're not trying to pump out something every single year or multiple times a year. Like, don't rush it. Take your time. Do it right. Like, I don't care how long it takes. Just, do it well. Do it right. That's all that matters.
Honestly, I'll be fine if they stop after the third one. I'll be fine with that.
If they stop after the third one and the third one is really, really good, like on the same level as the first two, if not better, okay. I'll be kind of like, I wish I had more, but at least they went out on a high note, right?
Yeah.
They said, we told the story we wanted to tell. We're going to move on to something else.
Right.
If that was the mentality, respect. You're not. That tells me you're not just trying to milk something.
Don't drain the well. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
I was just gonna add, like, isn't it crazy how if you just listen to your fans and give the fans what they actually want and accurate depictions of the thing, how the fans will give you money?
Like they say, of the thing.
What do we know?
Take notes, Disney.
Right.
Weird.
Yeah.
Weird. It's weird. Oh my god.
Come on. Like, all you have to do is just
Ziegler
listen listen to like Andrew and how passionately he's talking about this, this is the same way that I wish I was speaking about Star Wars, but I'm not.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, me and Tabitha have to continuously say all of these bad things about something that we love. Do these people think that we enjoy that? Because
the only thing that I get to look forward to when it comes to Star Wars is the Jedi Fallen Order games. Because I genuinely enjoy those games. I like the characters, I like the story.
They're really good.
And the gameplay is just rock solid. It's a really good Souls-like that's a bit more fast-paced, and they do a good job with it. And it's because, thankfully, Lucasfilm Story Group basically told the writers for those games, like, hey, like, you can't mess with this, this, and this. Do your thing, whatever, right? And those games, the second one specifically, managed to tell the only worthwhile story that had anything to do with the High Republic, which, by the way, Disney looks like they might be canning altogether.
What? Why?
Oh, because nobody asked for it, and nobody
Nobody
watched
wants
it
a
or read
space
it.
rock that can use the Force.
Yeah,
like that. So, anybody here like a fan of like Charlie Brown and Peanuts, all of that? Like, did you watch like the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown, and all? You know those, like the whole "I Have a Rock." So, to me, the contrast between fans like me who have, you know, Cal Kestis and the Jedi Fallen Order games, Jedi Survivor, and then like the stuff that came before from the EU that doesn't exist, and then the people who claim to like the High Republic but don't really because they didn't buy it, and that's why Disney's getting rid of it. You know, I'm like, hey, I have this, and this character in these stories, and the High Republic people are just like, I have a rock.
Yeah. I don't know what they were thinking with that. Like, what was the thought process behind that?
Honestly,
If I want Geodude, I'll go play Pokemon. Like, it's cool.
That was so weird. I don't know. I kind of wanted I kind of wanted a TV show where they gave us that story. I wanted to see The Rock in live action.
A live action Rock? Yeah, absolutely.
Can you
imagine?
Oh
my gosh.
Oh, this is so ridiculous.
Oh my gosh. So you could pick any movie with The Rock, the actual Rock, Dwayne Johnson in it, and then somebody, I want to, have a kid, like I want to go see this movie, and I want to see The Rock, and then you got grandma saying, "We have Rock at home," and it's Geode.
We got mineral rocks at home,
right?
And then like
that was an igneous pun. I just want y'all to realize that.
And then the character that looked like Matthew McConaughey too, like.
All right.
That whole thing was such a mess. No, they really should. Every single time that I go like to a bookstore, all their books are always like 20% off, and we're trying to have a sale on these books, and everything that I actually want to buy is never on sale.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I would
because it doesn't have to go on sale for people to want it.
I'd really love to see. This is slightly different, but I'd really love to see Matthew McConaughey as a Jedi.
I would love to see that.
Just part Jedi. The robes, kind of hands on the hips, look around and be like, "Well, we got ourselves a situation here."
You know what? I'm actually here for it.
Yeah,
Tabitha just came up with a better idea than Lucasfilm Story Group has in the last 8 years.
I mean, it would be... now can we get a petition to see that happen?
I'll sign that. I'll sign that unironically. Like, I would sign the Renew the Acolyte petition ironically, just because that means more video content for all of my friends.
Exactly.
Here's an idea for Tabitha. Draw Matthew McConaughey as a Jedi. Tag Disney. Make it the hashtag McConaughey for Star Wars.
McConaughey for Star Wars. I should. Yeah. You know, if it could be kind of like how Mando was a Western version of Star Wars, we could have that again and just bring Matthew McConaughey. Now the question is, would he be the dark-haired or light-haired version of Matthew McConaughey?
Light-haired version.
Light-haired. I think that just works. Could you imagine him I just totally could taking off his
it's
part in his robes and just being like
It's a Gundam actually ruined Mandalorian for me, because there's like this intro sequence that Perry Chan from Nerdrotic actually did with voiceover from Gundam as the Mandalorian, and every single time I see a Mandalorian now, I always think of Gundam talking as the Mandalorian.
Gosh,
it is so bad.
It is so bad. He has such a good voice that's like so funny.
I need to say, have you seen that clip? I need to send you that then. It's pretty funny.
I think I've seen it once.
Yeah, I think I saw it. It was pretty funny.
I'm going to go back into the Star Wars game because obviously I don't think, Andrew, you're going to play this game, are you?
No, I will sooner go back and play Super Star Wars for the SNES.
Yes. That's a good game, though.
Yeah. I added this article because as if the fans weren't upset enough. So the article says, early Star Wars Outlaws PlayStation 5 players paid $110 only to have Ubisoft issue a new patch and tell them to start a new save file or face game-breaking bugs. Can you imagine if you already put in all of those hours of gameplay and you have to restart again?
I would riot.
I
was invested years of my life, literally played for years, Skyrim.
Oh, yep, that'll do it.
And if I would all of a sudden have to start over because of a glitch, oh man, I would.
My high school girlfriend brought her like memory card for the PS2 over one time to my house and to play Final Fantasy X on my console on my TV, and she wound up saving over my save file.
The sins that are unforgivable.
The irony. Tabitha, this was unintentional on your part because you couldn't have known, but I was inside Sin, which is the final boss of that game. When she did that.
That's painful. That
hurt my soul. That was a good like 100 hours plus just gone. And I had to read it. Like, I wasn't mad or anything either. I was just kind of like, and she was super sweet and apologetic about it. Like it wasn't malicious or anything at all. I was just like, oh,
shock.
That sucks. But it sucked, but like I guess the grace of that is that like I had already done it once, so it's like I know I can do it again, and I know the shortcuts now, right? So I can.
This would be a completely different conversation if this was your first.
Yeah.
Right, so. But still, it was just like, oh my gosh. But this right here, I want to point something out before we continue on with the article. That this is how bad this game is actually being received. Is this the Gamer or which site is this?
This is Games Radar.
Games Radar. Okay, it was one of the ones that uses orange for their logo. I can't keep track of them. There's like 3 of them.
Too many.
And I can't count that high. I'm paid to read and write, not count. Games Radar, a mainstream video games news outlet, is using this kind of language. Like that's pretty disparaging language right there, right? Like the way that that's worded is really talking trash about the devs on there. It's semi passive aggressive, but most video games news outlets these days really try and heavy handedly prop up a lot of these games that nobody's asking for and nobody actually likes or plays. Things like Dustborn, and all that, but which also 5 people play, and
17.
Yeah. 17. Oh, so my bad. Whoa, they each of them created an alt account. They each created an alt account. So that's really pathetic. Like that's really, really pathetic. And I think anybody who is much of a gamer might have expected some of these issues because Ubisoft for the last, I want to say decade, has been kind of a meme in the gaming community with how unpolished and buggy their releases tend to be. They've taken some of the heat away from Bethesda, even though Bethesda puts out unpolished, unfinished stuff as well. As much I know, Tabitha, you're talking Skyrim, you love Skyrim. I have most of my friends obsessed with Skyrim, and I get it. I understand the appeal, but developers have relied too heavily on day one patches and things like that. When back in the day, and I get that there's a lot more to take into account with games these days. Like games are really complex. Game development is not easy. Credit where credit's due, but there's not nearly enough testing going on. And part of it might also be incumbent upon the publishers themselves that are pushing really hard. Nope, you got to push it out by this date. Just figure out a patch for it. Unfortunately, your reputation doesn't get a patch nearly as easily as your game.
Nope.
Oh, yeah, no.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. This we'll patch it later mentality really annoys me these days.
We'll fix it in post. Oh, will you now?
Right.
Oh, will you now? Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, we had like success stories like No Man's Sky, for example, or let's take Cyberpunk as well. Cyberpunk
Both of
was
those
pretty
games
rough when
got
it
new
launched.
life. Both those
They
games
got
got
new
new
life.
life. It is true.
And if you look at it this way, they were listening to the community. They were like, yeah, well, we overestimated a little bit. I mean, granted, the developer of No Man's Sky didn't. He was over-promising. But
Correct.
he knew deep down that he couldn't deliver on these things.
He overpromised like Peter Molyneux did for Fable, but he did it on about 100 times the scale.
Don't get me started on Peter Molyneux. I have a beef with that guy.
I think a lot of people
But
do.
for all the wrong reasons. I played all the Fables, okay?
I 100% completed them all.
Fable was such a unique game. I love the goblins that talk to you.
Yes.
Like that
I love the
heckle
goblins
you
too.
as you walk around.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Oh,
What do you
did
got for us,
surprise the
Nomi?
Spoilers up there? No.
Sorry, it just changed.
Yes.
I didn't click on
Please-
anything.
Please show that. Please show that, actually. Please show that.
Oh, I closed it. I'm sorry. I'll let me bring it back up. I'm sorry.
Please show
What-
it, actually, because this is very mind-boggling. What they did to the lead actress of that game.
It's mind-boggling is a word for it. Yeah.
I included your tweet because I was like, yes, we need to see, compare and contrast what's going on with Western, what they're doing to women in the West. Oh my
It is-
God.
It
Poor
is
Western women.
it is fascinating to see that. I mean, look
I
at
don't
that. On the
understand
left,
this.
the bottom is always the end product. I mean, just look at Mary Jane on the right hand side. That's supposed to be Mary
that's the
Jane in
mocap
Spider-Man
model
2.
for that's
That's
the
the
mocap
mocap
model
model.
for Mary Jane in Spider-Man
Yeah.
2, and the
The
bottom.
bottom one is the
is
final
the
product. She
actual
looks like
final
Jane. She looks like Julianne Moore, in my opinion.
She-
With that
she
character
looks
model.
like,
She looks very old. She looks very old.
She looks like actually an older. Oh gosh, why am I'm so bad with actor and actress names because I don't.
Well, what movie
usually
were they
care
in?
about- no, she played Martha Kent in Smallville.
Yes.
Oh.
You're right.
She looked.
What
Oh
was
gosh.
Oh
And
shoot!
she's
Yeah.
a wonderful actress. And that's not to call her unattractive at all. She
Right.
looks like an older, messed up version of her.
Annette O'Toole.
Annette,
Diane
that's
Lane?
the one. Yes,
Mhm.
Annette O'Toole.
Yeah.
And then you
So,
look at
okay.
the gal that they had for the main protagonist for Star Wars Outlaws, and you're like, what?
How did
Even
you watch
how do you do that? And
Yeah.
to the point in my
That's
tweet,
intentional.
the only way that happens is if it's intentional. We have the technology
Yeah.
to make that a 1-to-1. I know that because, like I said, I'm a fan of the Jedi Fallen Order and Jedi Survivor games,
Mhm.
and they took Cameron Monaghan and basically
And he
did a
looks exactly
1-to-1.
like him.
Yeah.
You know, in the
he was-
second one, all he did
Exactly.
was give him some scruff, right? And it's like, that's
Yep.
still Cameron Monaghan. I can tell. I know what he
He's
looks
got
like.
a very funny walk cycle in that
Yeah,
game, by the way.
they poofed up his hair a little bit extra, but that's fine. It's a video game model. But how do you look at that? Like, I would be okay. I'm surrounded by
I'll be offended.
females here and Smu,
Yeah.
Females and
but
smooth.
but wouldn't you feel insulted if you were asked to be the mocap and capture model for a video game character or like a CGI film or animation, and they took your sculpt, your skin, and then they uglified it?
Yeah,
to
especially as a
fact-
female.
Yeah, because look, women, it's no act. Look, this space is interesting, but it's no secret that like women have a lot of pressure put on them, like aesthetically, like by themselves, by their peers, by everybody around them, and so there's already that self-conscious thing, and so to take that person and then make them look just nothing like themselves and make them look ugly. Look, that's ugly. That's not a unique look. That's just ugly. Especially if you
what the most
compare it to
offensive
the
thing is?
actual actress. Like that,
You know what the most offensive-
I would feel horrible.
I would be
I got another
horrified. If I
picture
was
here.
them and like I saw the final result, I'd be like, are you kidding me? Like,
Is this what you think I look
private
like? Like,
oh my gosh,
Just
it would have already
just,
heard from me.
Send another
a long
one in the
time
private
ago.
chat of the same character model. Just look at that comparison. That's horrendous.
I just don't understand how you.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah. And then they made it even worse. So it's like there's no way that happens unless it's intentional. There's an erasure.
It has to be.
It is. There's no other excuse for it because it's not like they don't have the technology. This is being produced and published by Ubisoft. They have money. They can
this
pay for
model.
good.
Oh my gosh!
That's horrendous.
She looks. I made a joke about this. She looks like Mantis, like Pom Clementif without the CG, but uglier.
Oh yeah, I was about to say because I'm like,
Pom Clementif is not
do
ugly.
not say anything about Mantis. She's gorgeous, but until you said uglier,
Like I said,
I got it.
she looks like an uglier version of Mantis, minus the CG. And if you look at the trailer on the left, that was the reveal trailer for the game. And then you go to the right-hand side, you see the actual model of the character. It's like, how did we get to this within 6 months?
It's a deliberate erasure of femininity in media. Because it is. Not to get political, but they do that in a deliberate way in order to skew the lines and blur the lines because of other things that are going on in our world, we'll say.
And then it's just everything, like the hair
sad.
is ugly. They couldn't even do anything. Like
it's not rendered well.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
There's no rendering.
It seems like a little Lego, like the little Lego hair hat, like you can just clip off and clip on.
Tommy said the same thing
It does.
Tommy said the same thing.
That's amazing.
That's amazing.
Yes.
That's
I mean, how do you spend like over? Let's assume like $200 million on this game, right? How do you make the character look like this?
Deliberately.
White privilege.
Hiring people that have an agenda or that don't care, that don't know anything about the lore, that hate women.
The best thing is her walk cycle. Her walk cycle, you can tell that a dude did the mocap for the walk cycle. That's the funniest thing. The walk cycle is a dude's walk cycle in a game. She walks like a dude.
Yeah, because you couldn't even properly force a woman, an actual biological woman, to walk that way because it doesn't work with the way the pelvis is and the way the hips lie. Like it's wild. I'm trying right now on Google to find the budget for this game, and it doesn't look like it's public. It says here.
It's a
Star Wars Outlaws will. No, that's not it. Yeah, I can't find a definitive number, but I mean, marketing budgets for these games, these big budget AAA games, that don't end up showing it in their final product, are out of control.
That's so bad. Oh my gosh, I'm still looking at her and I'm like dying internally for her.
I feel bad for that actress because and who knows, maybe she has thick skin and she's like, it's whatever, it was a job, I don't really care. Fine, more power to her. But like for me, if I had those looks and this is what they decided to do with those looks,
I'm throwing hands.
I would like I'm rolling up the sleeves, gloves are off, like that's not cool, man.
I mean, it might be the same kind of case. We've heard numerous stories of where the actors, they shoot certain kind of scenes and then later in production, they're like, nah, we decided to can that scene. So I wonder if that's kind of the same thing. Like, well, we used her as the model and then we were like, no, we're going to go a different direction.
That is entirely possible because you record your movement.
But
it's a horrible direction, but you record your movement and then you're done. You're paid and you're gone, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, it's such a lovely young actress, and then this is what
uglified her.
Do.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think it's a massive middle finger to her too, like not respecting what she's literally selling herself for. Is like, I'm going to be paid to model for your game. And like, oh, like we like everything, but we're just going to change a lot of things. Then why did you hire me in the first place?
Yeah.
Like it's a massive insult. You're wasting her time essentially.
I actually found a old comparison
talent
that I made when Mary Jane was revealed from the Spider-Man 2 game. I posted comparison pictures of the PlayStation 4 and 5 version of Mary Jane in the first game.
Oh yeah, she was much
the original model.
Better looking in the first one.
Insane how different she looks. They bumped her age up by like 10 years or something, or 12. She looks much older in the second game.
Yeah, and they made her jaw about 6 inches wider.
Scroll up, go to the main post and scroll up a little bit, because that's the in-game model for PlayStation. That's the PS5 and PS4 model of the original game, of the first game. Looks passable, you still see some design choices that are present in modern entertainment, but she still looks feminine in a way, kinda.
She looks far more feminine than she does in the second game. No question about it. She still doesn't look like the model, the gal that they had doing the mocap and the face scan for. Like they still made so many changes to it. However, you then as big as a difference it is between the model and that first in-game model, it's a even more demonstrative jump to this second one. Like you could not convince me that maybe that's her mom or her aunt, right? Like it doesn't look like the same character at all.
The first picture looks much better than the other ones. I don't know what happened. This looks like a completely different person from the first picture, or the picture that we just saw. Like what happened?
Don't like this right here.
Yeah, the bald patch is bad. Yeah. The first picture I like she looks sweet, and I honestly to me that kind of has a little bit of this elf-like quality, because it's like I can't quite pinpoint her age. Like she looks youthful, but she also looks older. How old is she? You know, kind of thing. At least she does for me. But she looks sweet, but she looks very mature. Like she knows how to pay a mortgage, you know.
Oh my gosh, all of the
Probably
words
actually owns a house to be able to pay one.
Yeah, all of the things that you shouldn't be saying about this character are what you.
Yeah, because how
she's
old is
successful. She's pretty.
How old is she supposed to be at this time?
MJ in these games they're supposed to be in their mid-20s, I believe.
Oh my gosh, no, she looks
middle late 20s.
Okay, all right. So I mean, I would say she's like the soft side, or like the hard side of 28, soft side of 34. You know, it's like again where she's one of these ladies who is older but looks younger, but you can tell she's not a teenager, you know, kind of thing.
Right. Well, the Insomniac Spider-Man games went the route of the original run of Ultimate Spider-Man in the comics, where MJ is a reporter, a budding reporter, rather than main 616 universe MJ, who wound up being a supermodel, an actress, eventually a business owner, owned and ran the biggest nightclub in New York as well. All these other things that were incredibly individualistic and successful. She was an incredibly hardworking, driven person. But they decided to go the Ultimate Spider-Man route of the whole reporter thing, and that gave them the excuse like, well, we don't need a reporter to look like a supermodel. Yeah, but the whole thing with MJ, people don't realize, I guess if they're not comic book fans, is that Peter Parker has virtually everything go wrong in his entire life constantly. He's always down on his luck when it comes to money. He's always down on his luck when it comes to getting his butt kicked by his villains. You know, he's got all these other problems going on in his life, but he does have one thing that is completely so far out of left field and so far out of his brain space, is that he has was wife until Marvel decided to destroy that storyline, have a girlfriend who is a literal supermodel. Like he has
hot girlfriend,
right, he has, it's called the Parker luck. So he has all of this bad luck, but then he has this one thing, and that's supposed to be the one thing that he does have as a positive for him, right? Where it's like, everything else could have gone wrong in my day. Work sucked, or school sucked, or you know, whatever else sucked in my day. For Peter, it could be literally everything. But then he comes home and he has MJ, right?
And he's
he gets
like,
to
well, at
walk
least
in the
my
door.
wife's hot.
But he's like, my wife is literally the hottest person in the most populated city, you know, in the United States. All right, I'm doing okay, right?
Life's not that bad.
Just remember
for him.
And that's an important balance for Peter's character to have. People that throw out that don't understand the balance that plays in his characterization.
It's like this one panel that's very infamous where she says, like, face it, Tiger, you hit the jackpot. That's the most infamous line that she gives to Peter in one of the comics. Like,
well, it was a very deliberate one, because, you know, MJ looked like nothing else Peter had ever seen in his life at that point. It was just like, you know, the reader at that time was supposed to react to that panel in the same way that Peter was in that panel. Just like, whoa, who is this? What is going on? Like, this is like, Pete's never been an unattractive character. People misrepresent that just because the era in which he was created, there was a very specific drawing style, and so, you know, he was drawn wearing, you know, sweater vests and a bow tie, and
plus the stereotypical nerd,
unappealing
nerd,
exactly. But that only lasted for so long, and ever since then, Peter has been drawn and portrayed as a very attractive young man. It's what it is his personality is what tends to hold him back with people, and what makes
familiar.
people unsuspecting of who he actually is on the inside. And so there's that contrast. Right? There's that contrast between this guy that's like, he's just kind of he's a geek, right? He's a nobody. Nobody actually cares about this guy, even if he has a good heart. But then, well, why the heck is this chick paying attention to him? Right?
Well, and I mean, it's like that gives hope to the other nerds kind of thing. It's like, the other thing
that's
is
part of what it was.
People, I think we're also in this weird era where we're trying to turn the absurd, the ridiculous, or I say the hyper whatever, attach that word hyper whatever to comic books, and we're taking that away and trying to make it more realistic. We're trying to make it more relatable to real life in every aspect. Oh, not every woman is hot. Most of these supermodels don't date nerds. Like the fun part about reading books like this is for imagination, fantasy, fun, all these kinds of things. So if you make, it's just the same thing with all the other we go back to Disney lore and stuff like that. When you're making all of the bad guys good guys, misunderstood people,
right?
If you're making
the sympathetic villain,
if you're making all of the hot women, I say this, because of course we all know beauty's in the eye of the beholder and whatnot. But if you're making all of the sexually hot women average, wonderful average soccer moms, it's not the same. If you're making all of your masculine superheroes gay, it's not the same. It's turning things around to where it's like, well, this is not why I watched this movie. This is not why I played this game. This is not why I'm reading this comic book. And we're in this weird thing where it's like, no fantasy is allowed except for fan fiction of weird kinds. But it's almost like, no fantasy is allowed. No extraordinary things are allowed. Let's tone down the muscles. Okay. Let's take down the prettiness. Let's take away some of the curves, and let's just kind of generalize everybody and change their skin tone. It's really sad.
It's like this lack of originality, isn't it?
Well, it's strange because that's not. It's funny how they always make the claim of we want to make it look more like the world we live in. Well, let me tell you, the world we live in actually has people that look like some of these characters.
Yeah.
And these characters aren't supposed to necessarily always be your average Joe. A lot of them are supposed to be aspirational or inspirational, right? So you look at that character and man, I'm a big fan of the Flash, and I like speedster characters in general. Obviously, I'm a Sonic the Hedgehog fan. I like characters that run fast. I've always been a runner my entire life, varsity cross country and track. So recently, I started running again. I was like, you know what? I'm going to get back into proper running shape and all this. And I'm reading through my old Sonic and Flash comics as inspiration for that, because I'm looking at these characters. I'm like, obviously, I'm not going to be breaking the sound barrier anytime soon, but it's still, there's inspiration there, and there's aspiration to be had in any of those, because you're never. It's not that the goal is to look one-to-one like any of these characters, whether it's a really strapping, muscular male character or, a very curvy, hourglass female character. None of that. It's just that strive to be the best version of yourself, whatever that looks like, right? Just strive to be a healthy version of yourself and go for that. Strive for that. There's this weird misinterpretation of having something elevated super high in terms of how we would hold it visually, aesthetically, as though, that's a unfair standard. The standard isn't to actually look exactly like that. The standard is to make yourself look the best you can and make yourself happy and healthy in your skin. Right. Whatever that looks like. I'm never going to look like freaking Arnold when he was Mr. Universe. Right. I don't have the build for that. That's just not going to happen.
Your jaw is all wrong. Yeah.
My jaw is all wrong. My jaw's way.
Throws it all off.
Right. Yeah. It's not going to happen. Right. I've got Ryan Gosling jaw.
There you go.
He's super popular though, so I wouldn't.
You could be Ken.
I'm just Andrew. Okay.
But I mean, kind of to say a little bit about what you just said is that's what old Hollywood used to be. We would see all of these people up on screen that are exceptionally beautiful with all of these like great bodies, and that's what everybody went to go see. Now it's taking us all out of this, like it's taking us all out when you go and they choose people who look so average, and you're like,
right,
because
we're trying to escape reality.
Like, yeah,
like we go to the movies.
I kind of don't want to see this. Like if they have superheroes that, you know, aren't like that, the comic book, what was it, the one that came out that everybody made fun of, where they had like an overweight superhero and they had like all this stuff.
Are you talking about New Warriors?
Yes, I was like, why would you do that? It's like, no, when people have their superheroes, like I love Wonder Woman. I'm never gonna look like Wonder Woman. But every single time I see her, like I have stuff, like some of her stuff in my room. Every single time I see her, I'm like, damn it, okay, I'm gonna go to the gym today. I'm gonna try to do better today.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to. That's what they're supposed to do. If she looked exactly like me, there's nothing for me to strive to do better for.
Bingo.
It's like, really?
But that's because we also live in an unhealthy society that, you know, is trying to it's trying to normalize everybody and generalize everybody so that nobody is special, nobody is individual. As much as they're trying to push this whole be yourself, be unique, really they're just trying to generalize everybody. And if you wanted to look at the bigger picture of everything and not to get political, I'm just going to throw this out real quickly, but it basically is just a leading up to communism. Everybody's the same.
It's social communism.
Nobody is special.
Yeah, there's nothing worth striving for. Like if I rewatch, and I do fairly regular because I love the movies, Captain America: First Avenger or the first Thor, right? Like, look, Chris Hemsworth and Chris Evans got into ridiculous shape for those films, right? And I'm straighter than an arrow shot by, you know, Green Arrow or Hawkeye, right? But like I see that and I'm like, I will never look exactly like that because I just don't have the build for it. But I could try and shoot for something like that is an amalgamation of that and what my body type actually is.
It makes you feel like you succeeded in your goal.
I could strive towards something in between. And that's the healthy mindset. Instead of whatever we're getting pushed on us now.
Well, it's because it's terrible. Like on another kind of related thing too, I was really upset when they changed everything at Victoria's Secret. I used to be one of their, like, probably one of their most loyal customers, and they got rid of all of the angels. They got rid of all the models. Every single model now looks like average people. And I'm sorry, but Victoria's Secret built their entire brand on fantasy. And it was a fantasy for the men because obviously they had all these beautiful women. And it was a fantasy for the women because you're like, oh, maybe if I buy these things and I wear these things, my man,
and no. Sometimes I walk in there, I walk past
my
them.
man,
like, those girls need sandwiches. Somebody fix that.
But no, I mean it's a fantasy. It's a fantasy for the woman because you're like, maybe if I buy this, it's something special for my husband.
Sure.
And he's gonna find me super, super sexy in this. It was a fantasy for everybody all around. And all of a sudden they changed CEOs. It's this completely woke lady that was like, no, I want everyone to look like me. And she got rid of all of that.
And what happened? Their stock went.
Their sales just completely tanked.
They lighted themselves.
Yeah, like their sales.
They did.
Oh yeah.
Tanked. All of their customers were super pissed off, and everybody was like, "We have no issue with that."
Well, that's not why they went there. Well, it's like you don't go to Lamborghini or Ferrari to buy something that looks like I don't know, an
Toyota
Accord.
Corolla,
or a Corolla, right? Like that's not meant to be like disparaging or disrespectful to anybody that has whatever body type. That's just the way it is when it comes to markets, right? You have a market. This is your business model. This is your market, and therefore you have a demographic which you're catering to. Not all of Victoria's Secret's customer base looked like a Victoria's Secret angel. But they still bought the product. They didn't need, those girls didn't need to look like a Victoria's Secret angel in order to still buy into the product because they enjoyed the product, whether it was their perfumes or, you know, their like loungewear. Yeah, like their loungewear, their workout wear, whatever it was. they still bought into it. They were part of that demographic. And then you decide to change your marketing. And when you change your marketing, you change your demographic.
Yeah.
And they stripped everything completely. Like they didn't even leave the store looking the way that it did before. All of the pink is gone. Everything is gone. It's not a girly brand anymore. You walk in there, you wouldn't even know that it's Victoria's Secret anymore.
And it's not like they
so
didn't
generic
have
now.
companies for undergarments for plus size women. The problem is that they already had that with Lane Bryant and all this kind of stuff. The problem was that now, because it's all about the inclusivity and trying not to make people feel bad. And I understand that there are some women that have health issues. And of course, all women want to feel pretty and whatnot.
Sure.
But like you said, it's something to strive for. It's like, man, since we're talking about it, it's like, dang, I really want to get that pair of underwear. Well, I guess I'm going to have to go down a size, and it makes you work for it,
Yeah, it makes you work for it. And that's actually healthy. As long as you're in the right, as long as you're in the right mindset when you do it, right? Yeah. As long as you're not going to resort to doing something unhealthy. Yeah. As long as you're in the right mindset to be like, I'm going to do this because it's going to make me feel more confident. It's going to make me feel more healthy. And it will ultimately end up being more healthy for me. Then that's only a net positive. But what we're doing right now with this whole body positivity stuff is it's promoting unhealthiness
and
in the population.
Ironically.
Right? Remember what they did to Adele? Remember what they did to Adele?
Yeah.
Like when she went on a hard diet and started working out, and like she of a sudden
really good now.
Like she was never ugly, but she was a little overweight, right?
I thought she was pretty or big, to be honest. If I was pretty or big.
Okay, well, fair enough. Well, fair enough. But then, but she didn't think so, and she didn't feel so, and she was like, you know what? I am going to get into a different shape for myself, right? And she did that, and all of a sudden, news networks were giving her grief for it, right? Like you're fat shaming because you chose to get in shape. How crazy is that?
What are you telling your fans, these young girls, that now you've been such an icon for plus size girls and now you're losing weight? What is
I'm telling them not to be at higher risk for diabetes. That's what I'm telling them.
I was going to say that.
Look, I can't send my love to my new lover if I'm not around,
That's what happens to Lizzo every single time that she tries to lose weight too. That's why it's taken her so long to actually get healthy, because this isn't the first time that she's actually tried to do this. She's posted herself before working out, trying to eat better, but right away all her comments are like, what are you doing? So now you're saying that like being fat is bad and being this is bad, and now like it's like, oh my god, no. Maybe she went to her doctor and her doctor was like, dude, you need to lose weight or you're gonna die.
Like your knees are gonna give out at 35 if you don't like get a handle on things, right? Like it would be irresponsible and callous and unempathetic. Like that's a lack of compassion to actually promote things like either mental illness or just like physical illness and physical unwellness. Like
because then it makes you reliant on the pharmaceutical company.
Do you guys and gals remember the controversy about Rebel Wilson?
I was thinking of that.
Lose weight? Because they shamed her a lot as well.
Yeah.
Because she wanted to lose weight because she was like relatively
big. She was
big,
Well, her character
she was bigger than
Well, her character in Pitch Perfect, her name was literally Fat Amy.
Yes,
literally.
Which shout out to some of the fat actors out there, because they are stinking hilarious most of the time.
I only saw the first movie because
would not have been the same.
John Candy was a treasure.
I love John Candy.
It's because if you guys remember, the body positivity community wasn't actually this. It wasn't being overweight. It was actually people that were trying to feel better about themselves for one way or another. If they had like an amputation, if they had like a congenital defect that they were born with, that people were like, no, this is how people are sometimes, and they can be beautiful too. They deserve to be feeling beautiful.
It's something you have zero control over something you have absolute control over.
Like Tabitha said, everybody deserves to feel beautiful and good about themselves. And that was a positive message. But then all of these people basically took over the entire movement and said, well, I'm fat.
Like, I'm lazy. I don't feel like making myself better.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, no, that's not what it's about.
The actual shameful thing is anybody out there who gives grief to somebody who is overweight, who is trying to get into shape, like trying to do something positive. And you know what? I see that. I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna piss some people off, but that's okay. I do that on the High Council every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Central over on World Class Bullshitters. That was a plug, and it was an expert plug, by the way.
I love that.
That was
sneaky, sneaky.
I'm okay at this, but
okay.
There are people, even in our corner of the internet and on our side, who will you'll see those videos posted of you'll see somebody they're not just a little overweight, they are extremely obese, but you see them in the gym, whether they're on the treadmill, whether they're on the elliptical, whether they're lifting some dumbbells, or whether they're just going on a run or they're going for a swim. It's like they are clearly struggling, but they're striving. Right. They are doing something genuinely positive there. And the fact that they're obese is a problem for them as an individual, for their own health, their own safety, their own livelihood. And they're trying to do something about it. And so there are two types of people that shame on them for giving those people grief. The first type are the people who are like, hey, are you trying to tell, other overweight people that being overweight is bad? Like, no, screw you. Being that over, you're a couple of pounds over the mean, whatever. That's not a big deal. We're not talking about that. We're talking about you are 400 pounds and you're 5'4", right? That is a problem for you as a person, as a human being, to live past your 20s.
For your family.
That's wrong. That's not okay. So shame on those people, because you're actually promoting an unhealthy lifestyle such that person will die early. And the other type are the people who are just laughing at those people while they're in the middle of trying to do something positive for them. Shame on them as well.
For sure.
I saw a lot of messages when reposting Lizzo in her latest thing where she was trying to, in the gym, I guess.
Yeah.
I saw a lot of people too that were saying so many rude things about her just because of the things that, she was involved with before, all of the drama that she had with her dancers and all of these things. And it's okay, guys, I get it. You don't have to like her, but she's clearly making some life choices.
She's making a positive. Yeah, those are two separate things.
Yeah, those are two separate things. You can still not like her for all of those things and still praise her for actually trying to do something better for herself.
You can be a crap person with good goals.
Yeah.
Those are not mutually exclusive. They're not mutually exclusive.
Those things are difficult. It's not easy to actually change your lifestyle like that because it's not going to happen in a week. This is weeks,
this is a commitment.
Months of changes. And after you make those changes, you have to stick to that. It's a lifestyle for a reason. It's not something that you can do for a month and then you're going to be skinny for the rest of your life.
It's dedicated discipline. That's what it is.
Yeah.
And when you build that discipline.
And then you compare her past pictures to the way that she looks now. She's lost a lot of weight. So
when you're that overweight, the first X amount of pounds do start to come off quickly. The trick is to okay, how do you maintain that? And how do you lose that weight?
Because it kind of comes to a standstill.
Yeah.
Stop the soda, stop the carbs.
Yep. You have to maintain that. That's a lifestyle change. That's a discipline thing. And the beauty of that, and what I really want to impress upon the people who are making fun of people that are trying to do that, is that when you do that, a lot of things do change internally. When the spirit and the body and the mind are all interconnected, when one of them is super off, the others will be as well. When you start to fix the things that are out of control and get those under control, you start to realign and balance yourself. Right. And when you do that, and I've seen this in friends, when you do that, you will see changes in personality and changes in demeanor, changes in spirit in people, because they start to lose those insecurities that they're projecting onto the world. Right. And they start to become more confident as an individual, and they understand that they're doing something that's healthy. And all of a sudden Lizzo could come, if she sticks with this, she could come out on the other side of it an entirely unrecognizable person. I don't mean that just physically.
Yeah.
I mean that internally, as a person, as a human being, she could become a far softer, kinder person on the other side of that. And that's something that should just be only encouraged.
Right. Well, I mean, as our gal L from Legally Bond says that, exercise creates endorphins. Endorphins make us happy. And happy people don't go around murdering people.
Yes.
It's true.
That's very true.
It's a great quote.
It's really hard to believe that all of these people who put out content that are really, really morbidly obese, you know how they come out and they're like, I'm happy this way, and I find it very hard to believe that those people are actually
you have to constantly convince yourself that it's okay. You have to tell yourself it's okay that I have to miss out on certain activities with my friends because I can't fit in the ride. It's okay to tell my friends that I can't walk as far and go shopping in the mall because I can't carry myself that long. Like you have to convince yourself of that. And that's not a good place to be. To convince yourself that you are limited in what your capabilities are is a dangerous place. By the way, I love what Lawrence Knight said. That is,
oh my
gosh. Trying not to lose
out of that right now.
I saw that too. I was like, oh my gosh.
That's actually a pretty good motivation. I have to say.
Right?
Exactly.
That's
crazy.
That's fat shaming on a healthy level, I think, because it's different for guys and girls.
That is true. That is true. Because that's almost locker room talk. That's like, hey, get your stuff together, man. Like, what the heck are you doing?
Yeah. And then I think a lot of these content creators too, what they don't realize is that they are still fairly young. Yes. All of these changes in their bodies have not started to affect them yet. Once they start reaching their late 20s, early 30s, that's going to be a completely different story for them. They don't feel it now, but oh man, once you start getting
I'm not kidding. The year I turned 30 is when I started waking up funky.
That's like 5 years from now, Tabitha. What are you talking about?
Exactly. 5 years from now, I've already seen the future where I wake up and I've had a crick in my neck. And it's despicable. It's like I was just 20 yesterday.
I don't know what it is, but ever since I entered my 30s, I'm like, what is happening to my body?
It's supposed to be the best years of my life. It's what my mother told me.
Yeah.
I mean, I threw out my back sneezing, so it hurts.
No, I'm right there with you. I don't have that exact experience, but I have literally stepped out of bed and all of a sudden I'm like, what was that? I did nothing. All I did was wake up. Is this my penance for waking up at 35? Is that what I get?
I bent over and picked up a shoe in my closet several months ago, or like last year. And so to be fair, I hurt my back a couple of years ago pretty badly, but it's been okay. But then one day I bent over in my closet to pick up a shoe.
Oh no.
Threw my back out.
No. Yes, it happens. It's so freaking annoying. I don't know what happened. It sucks.
I'm like, it was a shoe. Could you imagine if it would have been a child?
I know.
Yeah. Something that weighed more than half a pound. Yeah.
Oh my!
I didn't believe people, but no,
Lord love a duck.
Sometimes I'll wake up too, and then I have that little annoying thing in my neck, and I'm like, oh, I slept wrong. Great,
exactly. I slept wrong.
The positions I could fall asleep and the things I could fall asleep on when I was in my teenage years, like I may as well have been a cat or a Siberian husky with like the weird
Gumby.
amalgam. Like I could have been a contortionist or whatever. But now,
no.
Like if I don't sleep correctly, the shoulders hurt, the neck hurts, the back hurts. It's everything. It's like
though.
No, it really isn't.
I have a bad habit. Oh, go ahead, Andrew. Finish.
I was about to say, I'm good with pain that comes from doing something that resembles hard work. Like if I bust my butt in the gym and maybe I lift something wrong or whatever, it's like, well, that's on me. Or if I just like, I'm really pushing myself. And so I've got those like post-workout pains. That's good pain. That's fine. If all I did was step out of my damn bed and pick up my shoes and I'm feeling pain, that's not cool.
That's not good. That's not good pain. No.
I'm not as okay
unintentional
with
pain
that.
sucks.
Yeah, I'm not as okay with that.
No.
No.
Go ahead, Nomi. Sorry.
Somebody in the chat said it doesn't get easier in your 40s. So I've already heard it from friends who have turned 40, and they're like, you know what you have to get, what you have to look forward to? And I'm like, what? They're like, you can't eat anything anymore because your stomach is going to be a mess. You're going to have all of the freaking like
don't eat anything after 6 p.m.
Yes.
They don't understand. We're gamers now.
Well,
we have to eat after 6 p.m.
Well, that's why you build the habits and the discipline in your 20s and your 30s of the working out so that your metabolism is constantly going, so that when you are in your later 30s and 40s and so on, like as long as you keep up that exercise, exactly, then it's like, all right, if I have a snack after 10 p.m., I'm going to be perfectly fine. Right?
No, that was I think one of the most hilarious stories that I can remember working at the hospital is that one of the nurses, one of the male nurses turned 40, and another one who was already in his 40s. It was so funny. He was like, he handed him like a little bottle of Tums, and he was like, "Happy birthday, bro! You're gonna need these." And we were all like, "Oh my god!"
Oh, that's rude.
And then
That's so
the best
rude.
part is that like almost a couple of months later, that nurse came back and he was like, "Bro, you really saved my life, man. I really did need those Tums."
It happens overnight. It's not funny.
So I go out country dancing, and I went a couple of weekends ago, and I have to wear the Dr. Scholl's in my boots now, and I'm like, oh my god, because I'm moving my body and I'm dancing. I was like, my lower back is killing me right now. I want to cry. But I was also gonna say, like, I do have a habit. I've always had this habit growing up. I sleep with my hand like this, with my thumb in between my fingers.
Oh, interesting.
I always had the habit. And then now I wake up and I just get tons of pain. I was like, well, there's carpal tunnel.
You have to sleep with them. She's gonna be getting like one of those casts and just
braces.
Braces.
Right?
No, Tracy, you're not 40.
Gotta sleep with a brace that holds your hands completely straight and open.
I've been told I need that now because, like, you know, I do so much drawing and video editing and stuff like that. Like, my hands will just get so achy, and they're like, "Oh, you need to get one of those things." I'm like, "You mean like when I'm working?" They're like, "No, when you're asleep." I'm like, "Asleep."
Well, that's actually true. So for artists, of which I am not, because I can't draw for diddly squat, not anymore anyway. It's actually incredibly important because when you're working your wrists and all of that for so many hours drawing and all those fine details, you know, especially if you're working with traditional media, right? If you're working with things like, you know, fine tip pencils and pens and things like that, rather than
pressure you apply.
Yeah, painters have it a little easier in terms of the pressure that's put on them in terms of like for the wrist. However,
it depends on the medium.
That is true as well. It does depend. But like eventually you do reach a point where the body is like, okay, we can't do that for as many hours a day and then just like not do anything and on our wrist be fine.
I had an 8-hour coloring session the other week because I'm doing art challenges, and I will say it is slightly different when doing painting versus like marker, but only slightly. But I tell you what, with the marker, I was like in that claw position, you know, just kept going, right? Just kept
That's
going.
where your carpal tunnel is going to start to.
And when I finally, when the timer went out and I released it, like I was fine in the claw position, right? But when I let go of that and just kind of sat back, all of a sudden it was almost like this army of cramps and aches were like up here and said, "All right, boys, go!" and rushed down to right here in my hand, and it was like, holy crap! And I had to take like 2 days off and have like heating compresses on my arm. I had to take baths because like my bones were aching. I'm like, this sucks. But I have also had like hour-long painting sessions if I'm standing. It's different. It is a lot different when I'm sitting. When I'm standing and doing it, and you keep your arm out, because most people don't understand that when you're creating art. I would tell the kids when I would teach them, our muscles are all like right here and in here. I was like, when we flex, we don't do this. We do this. But when you're standing like this, you don't understand that the whole portion, the rest of your body is tense. You basically freeze everything so that you can have the finest, you know, marks going
It's
this
that
way.
precision you're going for, right?
But you don't realize until you put that paintbrush down and you let go, your entire body then relaxes. People just think, oh, it's just this, and this. You don't understand. You are under tremendous stress, your entire body, when you're painting or drawing.
I got back into crafting and I was making not a lot of people know about this, but there's a baby shower sash that I was making. So it's like a sash for expecting mothers, and it has like florals and cute little beads. So I was making that because I know how to make it. It's cheap. And as I was cutting like the material to make flowers, and I put the scissors down, I was like, oh my God, I am in pain.
Separate.
From the muscles from cutting with scissors for so many hours. Yeah.
The body, like the pain went from here all the way to like my feet. I was like, oh my God.
They're like, I wasn't using my toes with the scissors. How is this possible?
Well, I guess it's like where I positioned my foot too. I was like, oh my gosh, like I didn't realize I was leaving my foot like this, like my toes kind of against the floor like that, because it was comfortable for me at the time. And then now when I was relaxing, it's like my feet hurt, my arms hurt, my head hurts. So
because you use your legs to help balance your core, because your core is tight to balance and keep your arms. Yeah, it's all connected.
I just want to make crafts. That's it.
I just want to make pretty things. It shouldn't hurt.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm gonna leave it to Andrew. We like to ask our guests that hang out with us, is there anything that really like motivates you, that kind of inspires you? Like, what is it that you're doing? What's the passion that's driving you to be what you're doing? Like, be in the position that you're in.
So, I don't know why I took the glasses off for that.
Real talk.
Serious mode. Yeah. No. So, like I mentioned earlier on in the show, I'm a genuine geek. I love a very large, wide array of things: Star Wars, DC, Marvel, Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, Sonic, a whole a bunch of Japanese RPGs and animes and things that most people in the chat have probably never heard of, and probably most people on the panel.
Persona 5.
Okay, yes, I'm a big Persona fan, as well as Xenoblade. I appreciate you.
I love Xenoblade.
But excellent. I appreciate you even more. But as a fan, it's been difficult the last, we'll say, decade, just to make it an even divisible by 10 number, to see the lack of enthusiasm in the fan base, the genuine fan base, not the people who pretend to be fans of things just because it got popular and Disney said it was okay to like Marvel comics all of a sudden, when most of us were bullied for it when we were kids. It's been difficult to see that and see the loss of love for the properties, the loss of love for the things that helped form a lot of us. I was bullied pretty relentlessly when I was a little kid because I was very small. I mean, not much has changed really, except for the bullying part.
Is it though? No, just kidding.
Well, I mean, maybe Nomi, sure.
Since you met me, sorry.
I mean,
sorry.
Nomi makes up for all the lack of bullying, right? Like she's basically she's Twitter right now. No, but those characters that I grew up with and those stories that I grew up with, and this applies to so many other people, helped form us into who we are, helped give us confidence, helped give us hope. Right. I was always the smallest kid on the street, but I was also always the fastest. So I immediately latched on to characters like Sonic, characters like the Flash. Right. And so those characters helped instill hope in me and drive in me, and wound up pushing me to play soccer for 10 years and do varsity cross country and track when I was in high school and all these things. Like, those helped enact positive things in my life and in my upbringing. They were very formative for me, and that applies to so many other people out there, no matter what their favorite superhero was. The enthusiasm and the hope that characters that we loved, that those instilled in us, that lacking now is what drives me, because I want that to be driven into other people, other kids. The generation that's coming up right now, they don't have good heroes to grow up with. Yeah. Not in my determination.
Not
like, sure, if I were to show them like the same stuff that I grew up with, sure, that'd be perfectly fine. But the media that they're being presented to right now, no, they don't have it. They have stuff that talks down to them and treats them like they're idiots, and they end up growing up into idiots. And they don't have stuff that instills hope in them. They don't have stuff that instills good morals into them. And so my drive is to help give and provide that type of thing to younger generation and reignite that enthusiasm and that hope and that excitement into fans that have become disenfranchised with things, right? And at the same time, so that's what I'm doing in terms of like with the Rippaverse and all of that, and trying to help like bring like, hey, here's something new. Like, obviously there's still all the old stuff that I grew up with, but like, here's something new that's trying to do the same thing that those did for me, right? I want that for people. It's important to have that. It's incredibly important. I would be a completely different person if I didn't have that, right? I don't know what I would look like if I didn't have that. And I don't want to know what I would look like if I didn't have that, to be honest. So that's incredibly important. And the other thing that I want to impress upon people is to not hyper-focus on the negativity. It's super easy to do. Companies like Disney give us every excuse in the world to do it on a daily basis. My advice to people is to not make that the vast majority of your energy. They don't actually deserve that much of your energy.
Yeah.
And they certainly don't deserve you dragging down your own spirit for them. So I would say find the things that you still do love. Like for me, the Godzilla films that are coming out, the Sonic films that are coming out, or Mission Impossible, or whatever else. Find something that's still being produced today that you love and that you enjoy. Or maybe there isn't something being produced today. All right, go back, read back issues, rewatch movies, whatever that looks like. Replay an older game. Make the bulk of the energy that you expend be something positive, right? And then tell your friends to go, like, hey, maybe you didn't try out this older game yet. Do that. Like, we can still stick it to Disney and companies that are following in their path, following in their footsteps, without being steeped in negativity ourselves 24/7, because it's not healthy for your soul. What we're saying might be correct, might be accurate, but that can't be all of the energy that you're expending. It's not good for you, and they also don't deserve it. And the other thing I would say is, the last thing I would say is, companies like Disney and the people who are currently in charge of the stuff that we grew up with and we love, companies like Amazon, who are currently in charge of things like Rings of Power, Lord of the Rings, they don't have the power to ruin the things we grew up with, the actual things we grew up with. I can still go back and rewatch the first 6 Star Wars films.
Amen.
I can still rewatch the Peter Jackson trilogy of Lord of the Rings films, or I could just read the books too, right? I could go read my back issues of Marvel and DC comics. They can't take that from us. They don't have that power. They only do if we give it to them. So don't give them that power. Just say, hey, you know what? The stuff you're producing now is garbage.
Right.
You're not getting my dollar. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to read something that came out 30 years ago. You don't get any money from that, right?
Stick it to the man.
It's healthier for your soul, and you're still sticking it to them while not steeping your soul in negativity.
Absolutely.
That was amazing.
Dang. Man, Andrew, we would love. Did you freeze? Oh, okay. I was like, you're just standing still.
He was shocked by his own, wisdom.
He's like, whoa.
And the glasses come back.
And the glasses come back.
Wisdom out of me? No, I'm not a Ravenclaw. I surround myself with Ravenclaws, so I know I'm surrounded by people smarter than me.
Thank you. You're welcome. Anytime. Hey, we did have great conversation in Denver. So
yes, we did.
We did.
Good times all around. But Andrew, thank you so much for hanging out with us today. It was such a treat, a delight for you to hang out with us tonight. The jokes, talking about us getting older, the realism of how Disney is failing, and
insulting your guest.
I was going to touch that, but
several times.
Thank you so much for having me on. Genuinely, it was a ton of fun. I needed this. This was a lot of fun added into my week. So you guys are all awesome. Nomi, Lily, Tabitha, Smu, you guys are all awesome people. Sevvy, who was here earlier, all awesome people. Thank you so much for letting me into your home.
Yeah. Well, don't be a stranger. We would love for you to come back again. If you don't feel like I insulted you, I'm so sorry again.
Or come back for more. Some people are into that. You know.
Yeah. I have thick enough skin. I think I can handle it.
Oh my God. Okay. I love that. Well, you and I just started a friendship over Stephen Curtis Chapman too. So yeah.
We did.
Yes.
So Stephen, that gives you points. That does elevate you.
Oh, okay. Well, the fact that you and I sang it together is like, oh, I thought I was the only one who knows about this song.
I felt so out the loop because I know who Stephen Curtis Chapman is. Of course I do, but I was like, I don't know this song.
So I'll have to find it because I can't remember the title. But Netflix had a movie that was based solely on his songs.
Wow.
And I was like, it was cheesy. It was a Christian movie, and it was very cheesy.
Netflix?
Yeah, it was on Netflix. I can't remember the title.
If you remember it, you'll have to DM it to me because I'm genuinely curious. I will look that up and I will watch that.
It was Stephen Curtis Chapman. There was a movie that was based on his songs on Netflix. I can't remember the title, but it was cringe to watch because Christian movies are kind of cringy.
Oh, they
to
always
watch.
are, yeah.
Yeah, but I was like, no, Stephen Curtis Chapman.
We'll watch them for the morals, not the quality.
Yeah. Exactly. Before we head out, Andrew, is there anything that you would like to plug before we say adieu?
I would like to say that we have a bunch of sales going on over at the Rippaverse, so check out our website right now. We have a book coming out in just NDA just a few weeks, we'll say, sometime in September, by the legendary Chuck Dixon and Joe Bennett, who wrote and drew Alpha Core, their first creator-owned project within the Rippaverse. So a character they created. This is the first character that was not created by Eric and somebody else's writing. This is their own creation. It is a phenomenal book. People who are fans of the Punisher and street level heroes like that are going to be all in on this book. I think it's going to be a ton of fun. This is Chuck and Joe Unleashed. The chains are off. And it's a fun ride. It's a really fun ride. Check that out. I would say check out Stealing Solo over on my co-host for the High Council's website, stealingsolo.com. It's the premise is, what if a group of disgruntled Star Wars fans kidnapped Harrison Ford into their basement and forced him to refilm Star Wars.
I would
The premise is ridiculous. The book itself is even more ridiculous, but it's also even more fun. I can't do it justice. So check that out. My buddy is working on the sequel right now, which is going to chronicle Luke Skywalker's fall from grace. That may or may not have commentary on Mark Hamill. And the threequel to that is called Frankenfisher, the Bride of Solo.
I was going to say, are they going to dig up Carrie?
Oh,
I'm not going to give you any other information than just that title. And if whatever is going on in your head is what I think it is, yes, it is exactly that. So
I'm here for it.
You need to check it out. So that's what I would say.
Oh my gosh.
By the way, Andrew, it's a week away on Netflix.
A week away. Okay. I am writing that down, and I will have to check that out because Stephen Curtis Chapman was constantly on my radio growing up as a kid, listening to Christian radio. Like K-Love in the Bay Area, California. K-Love was the radio station that I listened to, and I would always, like, the second I heard that his song was coming on, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm cranking it all the way up. Right?
Did you listen to static radio growing up? I know it was in California. It was based in Idaho, but it was through Calvary Chapel churches.
Yeah, that one doesn't ring a bell.
Okay.
Yeah,
all right. Because that's where I listened to more of like Hawk Nelson, Amberlin, Reliant K.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I had Reliant K music and stuff like that, but I didn't hear them that often on the radio because K-Love didn't like play them very often.
It was a little too hard for K-Love.
It was a little too like contemporary for them. They were like trying to ride that line, like, hey, can we get the choral people in here to still listen as well? And so they had their Michael W. Smiths and their Stephen Curtis Chapman,
their Toby Macs.
Yeah. Well, when Toby Mac came out, and he and DC Talk, they had that kind of like rapish, tune to them.
DC Talk was my first concert.
Was it really?
As growing up, it was my first concert.
Favorite tune by them for me is Colored People. I love that.
color, man, colored people, and then say the word also when they came out with that one, Supernatural. Oh, and Supernatural too is an absolute banger. Well, we can go on and go on. We're actually ending the show. Tabitha over here is like, I don't know what's going on.
I was gonna say all of the other three of us are just like,
yeah, we're like, I don't know what's happening. I'm checking my messages.
Mobby.
Sorry, my bad too. I'm sorry, but I'll go ahead and go around the panel and see what you guys are going on. But Lily, what's going on with you?
Just make sure that you guys are here every Thursday at 8 Eastern time for this show. There's going to be a couple of changes going on Midnight at Espanol, so I will be updating that on X as well. And I just retweeted another stream that I did last night with some of my buddies, and they're so hilarious. One of them is doing some really great content for YouTube, watching a bunch of movies and TV shows, and you guys definitely need to check out his stuff. And I'm actually going to be on Toxic Femme on Monday, so make sure that if you can watch that, tune in for that. So yeah, that's going to be
very nice.
Nice. Well, I'm actually going to watch. I have Monday free, so I will watch Toxic Femme. Oh my gosh. Smu the DJ, what do you got going on?
Well, I'll be taking on the Herculean task of traveling 19 hours to get to the USA tomorrow.
Nice.
Good for you. Are you actually going to stay here?
I'm going to stay there for 9 days, but I'll probably stay for good eventually because I don't want to work in the US because Germany's just going to shit. On my French, but yeah. But yeah, other than that, I acquired a good reading for the flight.
Nice.
Daredevil I'm going to be reading that on the flight. I'm also rewatching the Netflix series because I actually have a copy of that on my Google Drive because of buying the original on Google when it was still available. And yeah, other than that, probably just, keep your eyes on social media because I might be posting some vlogs eventually of my travels. I might do a little stream in the morning when I'm at the airport waiting for my flight to actually start. But yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. It's going to be a long flight and a long train journey for me tomorrow, but I don't care. I'm just looking forward to actually leaving this country for a little bit and just see something else. It's going to be good.
Ooh, well, I hope you have safe travels, Smu. Yeah.
I will. I'm pretty sure I will.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, just I don't know. I was going to say something.
As always, you can always find me here, usually on Thursdays. Also on my main channel, Smu the DJ, or Gaming with Smu. So that's all I got.
Ooh. Gaming with Smu. And then Tabitha, what do you got going on, friend?
Well, I have tomorrow night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time my next art party extravaganza. Hello! So I'm going to be having
kind of bummed out. I'm missing out on that one.
I know. I'm going to be having a new gaggle of group coming in. I'm going to have some new artists on the channel, and we're going to be celebrating 1 year of the art parties, and that's really cool. And we're mixing things up a little bit this time, where it's not necessarily narrowed down to impromptu character design. It's going to be something else unless it speaks to the artist where it is translated best into character. But just to give you a little sneaky peek, we're basically going to be figuring out how, with the roll of a die, it is going to be an impromptu arc there, but dreams. And so we're going to be getting prompts about dreams. And whether good or bad, if we roll the die, it might be our worst fears or it might be our biggest goals. And so I'm really excited. Like I said, I've got a whole gaggle of folk coming. It's going to be a lot of fun. And then, of course, I'm having my Summer of Art challenges. And I've got my next video going to be dropping on Sunday. So far, I've had 2 really awesome challenges. And it's really been pushing me to the test and helping me grow as an artist, helping me learn to draw and condense things down, go faster, focus on different things. And so I'm really excited about that. And if you follow me on the socials, you'll see that I'm posting chibis and got some new stuff coming to the Etsy shop soon.
Excellent. Wow. Oh, I did say I did want to buy a couple of stickers from you. So,
wow. Be on the lookout. I've tried to get the stuff before everybody else takes them down because I have had my Stargate and just recently my Death Note stickers taken down. companies reached out to Etsy and told them that I was infringing on their copyrights.
Which is
ludicrous.
Which is
I saw your tweet about that because I know for a fact that there are people that put out licensed products out on Etsy all the time that look one-to-one.
Yeah.
The product, the item, the
mine
artifact,
are literally
the weapon.
funny-looking caricatures.
Yeah, the caricatures or chibi stuff. Like, that's ludicrous. Yeah. I'm sorry. Your work is wonderful, Tabitha.
Thank you. I try.
Her work is wonderful, so please go support Tabitha and buy her little stickers and buy little keychains. But thank you so much, everyone, for joining us tonight in the chat. You guys were lively and active and being funny and silly, and we love to see that over here at Dames and Dorks. On the behalf of everyone here, we want to wish you guys a good weekend. And actually, it's Labor Day weekend, so I hope you guys have a good weekend. You guys do some fun stuff.
Guys and gals.
That's why I was like, oh, I have Monday free. I'm going to enjoy my Monday, everybody.
I'm self-employed, so I'm always working. I don't have a day off.
Sorry. I can't relate, Tabitha. I'm going to get myself an iced coffee.
Must be that Mexican Jewish privilege. So.
Wow.
It might be something like that.
I always go there.
Being a Zionist, man.
Come back next week and see what we have in store. But for now, we wish you guys have a good night and a good weekend. And y'all take care. Bye, everyone.
Thanks,